So we're going to open up today's show with some good, fun, exciting news. By the time this episode comes out, Gio will be 1 year older.
Wow. You're turning 50?
Yeah, okay. No, actually half of
Big
50.
5.
Yeah,
Actually, no, I'm not
No,
25
you're not,
yet.
yeah.
Not 25 yet.
24?
24.
It's your last Kobe year. 8
yeah,
and
it's
24.
true.
That's it.
Come on, bro.
You passed 8, now
I'm
you're
a
at
bucket getter.
24.
I'm a
That's
bucket
it. No more.
No more.
That's it.
You're-
Michael to Kobe, and then you fell off to 25. Who's 25?
Mr. Six Picks.
Oh, sure. Mikal Bridges. We'll get into him later.
Yeah,
Mikal
definitely.
Bridges year.
Also-
Wait, how old are you?
20. I'll be 26 in April.
So it's your Mikal Bridges year, bro.
That's why, well, I'm not asked this year. Maybe my fitness is asked.
I mean, to be fair, he is drafting better this year, so we got to give him some sort of credit.
Maybe my fitness is asked because I can't run up the stairs without coming out of breath.
But everything else has been
Everything is fine.
okay.
That just seems like a you problem. To
That
be
is a me
honest.
problem.
That's a skill issue.
Yeah.
And then Tyler, you're 25, right?
Yeah, I'll be 26 in December.
Yeah.
Okay.
End of the year.
So he's 8 months and a day older
Yeah.
than me.
Yeah.
When are your birthdays?
April 8th.
December 9th.
December 9th. Okay.
You're
So
February 24th.
5th.
Five.
Bro, it's
Today's
literally
4th.
tomorrow. It's
Tomorrow.
not
I forgot what day of the week
Yeah.
it was, but
Yeah.
I got to make sure to text him tomorrow. Happy 25th of February.
yeah.
You don't even have to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I know you guys.
I'm going to see you tomorrow anyway. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
yeah.
we're monetized tomorrow morning on Gio's birthday too. We're very so close.
That was
Very
so
so
cool.
cool.
What a birthday
I
present.
could literally
Exactly,
squeeze it closer.
Can you guys, like, run up the views?
No,
For my
no,
birthday?
The views is
watch
crazy.
hours.
Can we make it happen?
watch hours?
Yeah,
Run
watch
up.
hours.
That's
'Cause-
all we need.
Get up.
Yeah, because you need to watch I think you need to watch like a minute and a half to get a view.
Yeah.
And then, but watch hours, you have to like stick around.
Just stick around.
So-
It'll add up over time.
But
All right.
but yeah, obviously we're obviously just so blown away by all the support from all y'all. It really
Yeah.
means the world.
Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to that 1 year anniversary, which is
Yeah.
just beyond crazy. I was just kind of looking back at like our previous like emails and our previous videos and even just like the editing quality
Yes.
of the video quality from
Yes.
March to now. It's just completely skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The growth is insane.
I don't
Yeah.
think in a year we ever thought about monetization or even subscribers being at almost 5K. So definitely everything that we do is definitely we're blown away because everything is blown out of our first year predictions of everything we've done so far.
Yeah, because I told
So-
Gio literally like a year ago that if we get 500 subs by the end of 2024,
Yes.
I would call that such a W. And we ended the year on like 4K.
That's insane.
So,
Exactly.
Thank y'all.
When you
Yeah.
put things into perspective like that, it's crazy.
And to make
Because
what's
it's
even,
so easy. It's so easy to compare ourselves to like other YouTubers, like 100K,
Million.
300K, million, like,
Mr. Beast.
Right, like
Yeah.
stuff like that, and then you're kind of discouraged because you look at yourself, you're 4,000, but like 4,000 is 4,000, and we're so grateful for that.
It's a lot of people.
You know?
Yeah, that is.
That's the entire population of our college.
Wow.
Our
Yeah.
alma mater. But what's
Yeah.
even crazier is that we don't have platforms. You two aren't even on social media.
Well, we're
So
not
it's
at that
and he's
active.
not on D&D.
Yo,
Oh,
I told you
wow. Crazy.
to log out of your messages on your MacBook.
Did you?
Yeah.
He did say that.
Okay.
Sorry.
But we're back. It's episode 46. Tyler and Gio back in the stew. How we doing today?
We're good. It's late, but we're gonna get through this before 11 o'clock.
What time is it?
It's
8:53.
8:53.
Yeah.
This has to be
Well-
one of our latest recordings yet.
We'll get out of here pretty quick. We'll be good.
So we'll be good. Our shows are a little bit shorter now. They used to
Yeah.
run about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Now they go anywhere from an hour 40 to 2.
Yeah.
So a decent chunk of time. It gives you guys, you could either watch the whole thing at once, you
Yeah.
could watch part of it and then save the other part for later. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want.
Skip around.
Yeah, that's why we have chapters at the bottom of the,
Yep.
on the little timeline. You can click wherever you want to go. As for today's episode, we have a lot to get into.
We got a good one.
So we have a good one. This is no all 30 teams today. We're going to do that next week and the week after. This is a heavy news segment. So obviously, we have some interesting news regarding some injuries and medical emergencies and suspensions and stuff like that. So we'll get into that. We have a team spotlight again. And we actually really have two team spotlights. We also have some interesting trade talk around Ja Morant that we'll get into later on in the show. And then something Gio wanted us to bring up regarding who could be the next face of the league and what's kind of been said around the media. So stay tuned for the rest of the episode to see what Gio has to say about that. So, guys, do we have anything to say before we dive right in?
Let's go.
Let's roll.
Let's
Ready.
do it. So if you guys are on YouTube and you do enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 5K. We're trying to get there as soon as possible. Hit the bell, that way you're notified every time we upload. If you're on Spotify audio platforms, give us 5 stars, answer the polls, leave a review, all that stuff. Follow us on our socials down in the description below. Get Gio to 1 million Instagram followers.
He's not even active.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
It's just the gag at this point. It is what it is.
That's the funniest thing ever.
It's part of the flow, you know.
But we've had our fun. It's time to get a little bit serious because over the weekend we received some very scary news regarding Victor Wembanyama, who will be out for the remainder of the season with deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder, which is a form of a blood clot for those that don't know. So Antoine, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Tyler mentioned that. Deep vein thrombosis is the name. Blood clot is the human name that we know it as.
Wow.
In his right shoulder, which is this one. He'll be out the rest of the season. The team did say they're optimistic about his long-term health, which is a big plus as well, and then he'll recover to play next season. The little weird inkling is that he took part in All-Star Game weekend a few days before. He did the skills challenge. We laughed at that. He did watch he did play in the All-Star Game. The skills challenge thing, you could kind of, I don't want to say like bad karma for trying to cheat.
No.
That's some serious stuff we're not going to talk about.
I think he had it already.
And that's why he wasn't shooting?
I know, but he just wanted to win. But he's been dealing with this for a while, and I also don't want to get the hate comments for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been kind of going through this. He was symptomatic over that weekend. You know, when you have a blood clot, you're really like low energy, you're really tired because you're not getting proper blood flow, stuff like that. But thankfully, this is an isolated condition, which means as far as the Spurs know, as far as Victor knows, it did not spread anywhere else, because that's where blood clots can become fatal, where they spread to your lungs or your heart or anywhere. I don't even know if they can go to the heart, but it's really scary stuff. And, you know, excuse me, this is something that cannot be taken lightly.
Yeah. I will say the bad karma thing was a joke I made. I don't think it's bad karma at all, because he did play in the All-Star Game. But it's just like I'm a theory guy. It's a funny little inkling. But
You're a theater guy?
Theater guy.
Oh, I thought you said you're a theater kid.
I'm a theory guy. So like it's just, you know, back like juju. But like I don't think from the skills challenge, it's just like a funny little thought. You could just say like this happened. Like everyone was talking about it. Now this happened to him.
Yeah.
But we don't want Wemby to be out at all. Especially I don't want Wemby to be out at all either.
Yeah.
But we know he's the reigning Rookie of the Year, of course, and he was the current favorite for DPOY as of right now. Probably not anymore.
He's ineligible.
Wow.
He was leading the NBA in block shots, 3.8 a game, was averaging 25 and 11. And a fun little also stat. I love stats. So he's taken 403 3-pointers and blocked 176 shots this season in total. No player in NBA history has ever finished a season with these numbers, yet Wemby did it in just half of the season.
Yeah. Wow.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Today's NBA, just jack up a bunch of threes with no consequences.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. But look, this is kind of this is not the first time we've seen this. It's an uncommon medical condition to happen.
It's the first time I've ever heard of it.
This happened to Brandon Ingram in 2019.
Okay.
And he wound up.
Interesting. It's always these tall, long, lanky guys.
Yeah.
They're skinny.
I've seen some people try and come up with their own theories and cases as to why this happened.
What? All tall, long,
people
lanky
saying like tall people when you're working a lot of overhead stuff or when you're on a lot of flights, stuff like that. But it happened to Brandon Ingram in 2019. Not only did he come back and win Most Improved Player, but he was an All-Star that season, his only All-Star appearance in his NBA career. Asar Thompson had some sort of blood clot last year, and he's come back great this year.
The same type?
No, I don't know where his was. They just said he had a blood clot. They didn't really reveal the information.
Right.
But
this is in a shooting shoulder.
yes,
So that's
yeah.
interesting.
same thing with Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
Shooting shoulder.
Yeah.
The right shooting shoulder.
Yeah, a lot of things I was looking. There's a doctor that made a video about it. He does like all the NBA injuries on
know who this
YouTube.
is.
Dr. Brian Sutterman.
Yep.
Love that guy.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but you know, for Wemby's height and not being of big muscle mass, the bones are a little more susceptible to getting injured, and blood clots are more susceptible to happening because of that reason. And Ingram is the same thing. They call him Slenderman for a reason. Brandon Ingram. Asar Thompson is a little interesting because he's a little more built.
He's still lean.
Yeah, skinnier.
But his was not in his shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't know where his was, but
Yeah, but this injury for Wemby was we talk about Wemby and we're like, oh, he's gonna get injured some point, but we never thought blood clot was the first thing in our list.
Or anything life threatening.
Yeah,
apparently this is life.
that's not even an injury.
Yeah.
You could die from blood clots.
We were like, oh, Wemby's too lanky. He's gonna would KP happen? But we don't wish injury upon players. But Wemby for his build, we were like, oh, this guy's gonna he's gonna bend and break.
You said that. I didn't say.
I didn't say that.
No, none of you guys said that when he
No.
first came into the league.
Maybe I did.
No,
Maybe
because
I did.
we if you watch Wemby through his pregame warmups, he's doing everything to keep his body right. And we saw last year in his rookie year, he rolled his ankle so bad it would take anyone out for a month. He just popped back up, didn't even limp, didn't even sit out a game. So
I
he
think-
takes good care of himself.
I think I had a little inkling that I think we said the agility and building
You just
up
speak more into the mic.
the endurance, building up the endurance, the agility, the strength was key for him. But he's built like KP, and KP had some injuries, but Wemby is taller, of course, as well. But he's been doing well. That's he's proved me wrong with saying that he can stay healthy and be perfectly fine, and we've seen it. And he destroyed my Knicks. So I saw it firsthand how great he is.
Yeah.
And not looked completely normal for a basketball player for his stature.
Now, listen, this is something I'm wondering about Wemby. Because you can have a blood clot for a while and it can go undetected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things can start clotting up, but still enough blood is able to seep past it.
Right.
But there's still a clot forming. So
Yeah.
I wonder if this is something that's been developing over time. And I'm reading right now the symptoms of this specific type of blood clot. And it's swelling, of course, redness, pain, tenderness, chest pain, shortness of breath.
Yeah.
Wemby has a lot of that. Lightheadedness and fainting. I would assume that he probably has a lot of that because of his shortness of breath. Maybe this is something that he's had for a while, and maybe that's limiting him in his games. He's only playing how many minutes a game? What was he playing before he got in? This?
Below 30?
Exactly.
26.
That's below league average.
That's something I actually want to talk about a little bit more because you bring up a very good point. Because what's been the one thing that I've complained about for the entirety of Wemby's career so far?
His minutes.
Not his minutes.
He can't-
His conditioning.
Conditioning, yeah.
His conditioning has been awful. I mean, it's been terrible.
Yeah.
He can't even play more than 4 minutes without being completely winded and gassed.
Right.
Well, I guess
Maybe it has something to do with this, though. That's what I'm saying.
his theory or his saying could be a little prune because maybe he's had this for a while, like you said, and they were using blood thinners, and blood thinners, make you a little less. Your blood is thinning out. The conditioning's going to go a little bit faster.
Yeah, but he can't.
I don't think-
he wasn't.
So-
He wasn't on them because they just found out about this now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
And again, he was young. He's 19,
Yeah.
20, 21. So his conditioning's not going to be as good as an NBA vet
Yeah.
who's been in this league a long time.
Right.
But
Let me ask you, though, how life-threatening is it for him specifically?
just like anyone else,
Yeah.
because if a blood clot spreads, then it could be fatal. If it goes to a specific organ, you don't know. It's not something to mess around with. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how fit, how unfit, how old or young you are. If you have a blood clot, you have to get that sorted out. And in some cases, you have the Brandon Ingrams that came back better, and then you have the Chris Bosches that had to retire.
It is great that the team did say that his long-term health is going to be fine.
Yeah.
So they probably know it's going to be gone fairly quickly, if not within a few months, and that he will recover. So if the team didn't say anything, I would think that's a little cause for concern.
Yeah.
But if the team doctors, I trust Spurs doctors, especially with Wemby, with his build. It's just unfortunate. This player we don't want to see out because he brings a lot of attention to the NBA when he's playing.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Not really something that we expected to see over the weekend. Not something we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Obviously, we send our thoughts and well wishes to Wemby. Hope he can come back stronger, get through this, and I think he'll be okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is he out for the season or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
he's
very
out.
unfortunate, but
We'll see playoff
hoping
time
for the best, yeah.
if they get into the play-in. We'll see.
Oh, they're not now. There's no shot.
I don't know.
Without Wemby, that team is
Right.
garbage.
Yeah.
So
Dang.
there's a high likelihood they could have the first and the second pick this year.
Wow.
Because they have their own pick and they have the Hawks pick.
They're gonna be so stacked, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now De'Aaron Fox has to do it by himself for a little bit.
Right.
It's
He's
okay,
capable.
though.
He's
Yeah,
capable.
he
He'll
can
be
do it.
all right.
He's definitely more than well capable of doing this.
Yeah.
So we're going to transition across from a very unfortunate situation to a very interesting situation. I think interesting is kind of the best way to put it. So Milwaukee Bucks front court player Bobby Portis has been suspended 25 games by the NBA for violating their anti-drug policy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What did he do?
I have an inkling. Knicks legend Bobby Portis.
Okay, Knicks legend Bobby Portis, I suppose.
Why do you claim Bobby Portis after a drug
Wait,
test?
No, I'll get into it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's
Tell
gonna-
me.
he's gonna-
please.
It's not his fault.
Okay, tell me what's
We'll
going
get
on
into
over here.
it.
So Bobby Portis, obviously, he failed the drug test back in November.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the league did nothing of it. I'm pretty sure they were investigating it. But we saw the other day from Shams, I'll put the tweet on the screen, that Bobby Portis suspended 25 games for violating the anti-drug policy of the National Basketball Association. So, Antoine, tell us what went down with Bobby Portis.
This is pretty good.
Into the mic.
By the way, if you guys didn't know, I do live under a rock. They call me Patrick
He
for a
is
reason.
Yeah.
So there, I'm just hearing this for the first time. Go.
All right, so Mark Bartelstein is his rep. He said he tested positive for the drug tramadol, a medication used to treat severe pain in adults. He then followed up his quote by saying, Bobby unintentionally took a pain medication called tramadol, thinking he was taking a pain medication called Toradol. Toradol is an approved pain medication that he has used previously, and teams and players use for pain and inflammation at times. Tramadol, however, is not an approved pain medication. It was just recently added to the banned substance list this past spring. The tramadol pill he took came from an assistant of his with a valid prescription for the painkiller, which he mistakenly told Bobby was Toradol. This was, again, an honest mistake that was made because of the similarity in the names of the drugs and the fact that they both serve a very similar purpose. Right. Bobby was using this anti-inflammatory and pain-reducing medication to deal with an elbow injury.
Well, you're going way too fast for the audio listeners. You got to slow down.
Bobby was using this anti-inflammatory, pain-reducing medication to deal with an elbow injury he had this past fall and believed he was taking Toradol to alleviate some pain in preparation for that night's game. And Bobby is not going to appeal the suspension, of course.
He's not going to appeal it?
No.
Why wouldn't he? If he's in the right here, it's not his fault, right?
I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's an accident or not, the banned drug is still in your system, and it's going to give you, to the NBA, those drugs give you an unfair advantage.
It's a pain reliever.
I don't know.
Well, I need to look into this because what kind of advantage is this going to
Toradol was just added this past spring. So we're talking about literally 2024 in the spring, before April.
Right.
Okay, so he was probably using it then prior.
Possibly.
Possibly.
But his assistant messed it up.
Right, so someone's getting fired.
The assistant's getting fired.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So what kind of pain medication gives you an advantage on the court besides just relieving pain? Like, is this something where he's stronger, faster, more locked in? Like, what is, like...
It could be more powerful, more potent than other pain medications.
But what's wrong with that? Unless it's harmful to his health?
I don't know.
What's wrong with that?
Unless there's something in the medication that the NBA... It's on the ban list.
Please, Anthony,
I genuinely don't know.
I'm pulling up an article
because
right
as far as we know, this isn't a PED. This isn't a steroid. It's just a painkiller. But not every medication is approved by the league.
That's ridiculous.
So
25 games.
Yeah,
and he's not appealing.
No.
Why is he not appealing?
I don't know.
It's kind of not worth the paperwork.
I guess maybe if he's in that much pain, then he gets to.
He might as well sit
recover.
out.
Okay, so tramadol is on the World Anti-Doping Agency list of banned drugs.
Okay, so it is a doping medication.
It is a type of opioid that is used to treat moderate to severe pain. The FDA can be found in other it has been classified as a Class 4 controlled substance by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, which means Class 4 is the highest.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Got it.
Which means it is a low potential for abuse or dependence. Oh,
low potential.
Low, sorry. It's also in the same category as Ambien, Xanax, and Valium. Toradol is just a brand name for... It's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. So it's probably banned because it's on the World Anti-Doping.
Well, one thing I heard was opium. Opium is highly, highly addictive, but at the same time, they're saying it's not. But
I mean, painkillers are all addictive, so that's why when you have surgery, you don't really want to get the painkillers because you're going to get hooked onto them. Yeah. So, but outside of the whole medical talk, this really puts the Bucks in a precarious situation.
Yeah.
Like, they're already struggling to stay afloat in the Eastern Conference, and without your backup big man, what do you do from here?
Bobby was their best bench player for
sure.
3 years now running, and now they did get some bench depth at the deadline. But outside of Bobby big men depth for them, it's not really that much.
You don't have anything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
no one that's
all
gonna
guards.
no one that's gonna crack a playoff rotation.
Yeah.
But he'll be back. He'll be back in April.
And maybe he'll be fresh.
Hey, you never know. It could
Yeah.
be. It's very likely. But yeah, it's just we haven't had one of these situations in a while. Obviously, we saw last year Jonte Porter got suspended for gambling.
Yes.
But we haven't really seen a substance abuse or anti-drug
Yeah.
thing happen in a long time.
Yeah.
So very, very sort of. It's just interesting the way it kind of transpired. I wasn't expecting it, and I'm surprised it took him this long to suspend him if he failed a drug test back in November.
Right.
Okay.
Like it doesn't make
Yeah.
much sense
Yeah.
unless it was something they were investigating. But I genuinely just don't know.
Yeah. It was definitely shocking because Bobby of all players, like I would think like a big player. Bobby Portis is a bench guy, but who's saying that not everybody could be doping in the NBA? It's like,
It's usually the bench players are the
Yeah.
ones doping because they're not good enough.
yeah.
Sure.
That's kind of what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Or LeBron.
oh, that's controversial.
Listen. Well,
Look, Kevin
listen.
Garnett, Paul Pierce, they said some things, man.
Well, listen, they know the system for pee testing.
Listen,
drugs.
all I'm going to say is this is
So.
conspiracy, fine, but this is what I'm going to say. There's a whole lot of drugs that we don't know or that the system doesn't know about that actually is enhancing performance.
Well, of course.
Okay, so there's some certain drugs that haven't been necessarily banned yet that I think people are using. Some players might be using them.
Listen,
I don't know.
You know what you can do? You can call one of the NBA doctors.
I will do that.
If he wants to be unanimous and come here in person, and we'll put him behind a black curtain.
You know what? It sounds like a good
and
idea.
just talk about who's doing drugs in the NBA.
And then we can get Brian Sutter on the channel as well.
Brian Sutter, yeah. We
Get
can
him on here.
If you want to come on, if you're on the low chance you're watching this,
Yeah.
chuck us an email. We'll get something sorted out. But as far as the Bucks, seeing as how like wide open the East is outside of Cleveland and Boston, do you think are the Bucks in danger of falling into the play-in?
No. I think they'll stay at 5 and 6. That's the lowest they'll go.
Okay, that's
100%.
fair.
The East play-in is so bad. I don't think they fall anywhere near 500 or below 500 at the season at all.
Good point. The East is pretty bad.
That's no way.
But
they'll be 5-6.
I don't know, Bobby. That's big. That's a big time.
If the Pistons pass them, that's fine. They'll be a 6 seed.
They're about to.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as they don't fall below 6, they're fine.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely likely like to happen, but again, you just don't know because right now the Pistons are 2.5 games back of Milwaukee,
Yeah.
and we don't know. Just a simple 8-game winning streak could see the Magic jump above them as well.
Of course, but
So
listen,
it's possible.
when you have Giannis, I think you're fine.
You know, you're right.
I think
Giannis that's had persistent calf problems for
And
the past
Dame.
2 seasons.
you brought in Kuzma, you're fine.
Okay.
Why are we
Get outta
talking
here,
about
bro.
Kuzma as a needle moving piece?
Wait, how has he been doing?
He's been
They're actually
pretty
they're
okay.
actually undefeated, I think, with
He's
him on the
pretty
roster.
okay.
Hello, Kuzma. What's going
pretty
on?
okay.
He's
Kuzma might be
he's
that
still
missing
ass, bro.
piece.
He's
well,
still ass.
also, we didn't bring up Kevin Porter Jr., but he's playing really good off the bench. For them.
Okay.
No one cares about that bum. but yeah,
Their bench looks good.
but yeah. So
regardless.
I don't really think this affects the Bucks as much as it would have back in November, because obviously it was a lot tighter as far as like the race in the East. But right now, I just really don't see the Bucks closing the gap on Indiana. They're 5.5 games behind them.
I don't think that's
So I think it's safe to say Indy is kind of at least got home court in the first round, and we'll kind of see what the Bucks do from here. Now, what we're going to do here is transition from the middle of the conference to the top of the conference, because the best team in the NBA, I think, just got a whole lot better. The Cleveland Cavaliers have signed Javonte Green after he was waived and bought out by the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh my, this team is getting more disgusting by the day, and Gio is getting sadder by the day, because for y'all that are new around here, Gio does not particularly have a liking towards the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And I don't even know why, to be honest.
I don't understand. Like
don't
they
know
literally
why, but
they
I
were
just
the
don't
only
like the
team that beat the
Cavs.
Warriors in the finals, and you hate them. Like I genuinely don't understand.
Look, I love the Cavs for being the Warriors, but now I don't know why I don't like the Cavs. I just don't like them.
Why though?
Okay.
I have no idea.
let him
But
hold his bias.
Listen, here's what I'm going to say. All this is is the Cavs. It's all sunshine and rainbows now. But when playoff comes around,
hold on. Do you know
doom and gloom, bro?
Do you know who Javonte Green is?
Talk to me.
Javonte is the guy I had the Celtics trading for at the deadline because they needed him.
Do you remember when?
How tall is he?
Do you remember before? Do you remember when Tatum was mic'd up and he said, "When I get a cut, I think I'm top 5."
Yeah.
He was talking to Javonte Green.
Oh,
that's him.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, Javonte is
top 5, bro. He is one of the most underrated wings in the NBA.
Really? I don't know much about the guy.
If you need defense, you got him.
Do the Cavs even need defense? Yeah, they do.
They do.
He.
Where they rank? Do you know? Like middle of the pack?
Look right now for you.
They're top and a little top. But Javonte, I'll say a little bit. He is second on the Pelicans in steals with 55 this season before he left, and second in blocks with 30 for a guard
on the Pelicans.
On the Pelicans.
How tall is he for a guard?
He's
6'5".
Oh, he's 6'5".
Yeah.
Okay.
Decent size.
They're also 7th in defense.
Okay.
Yeah. But Javonte was a good bench piece, averaging 6 points a game. He'll probably do the same thing there. He had 14 multi-steal performances this season. He had a career high 5, I think, against the Spurs before. But Javonte makes that bench depth with Ty Jerome. The guards, after Garland and Mitchell, are set.
So what does he do? Is he more of a defensive guy? He's going to pick up the best ball handler on the team?
He's a point of attack guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
how much does this move the goalpost for them?
I think it moves it a lot, to be honest with you.
It's bench depth.
Because right now, the Cavs are the 1 seed, but you have to respect Boston as the defending champions, and you really need to pull out all the stops to beat them if you face them, obviously. But they really need to go. The Cavs needed to go all in at the deadline, and I think they did by getting DeAndre Hunter. And then this just was the cherry on top to me. I mean, this was a really sneaky move. A guy that really wasn't getting maximized well in New Orleans. And he really hasn't been getting maximized his whole career. And now this is his time. This is his shot. And I think he's really going to come in handy when they need him. Because I don't think he's going to play heavy minutes. But
when they need him, he's going to step up.
When they call his number, he's going to stay ready, and he's going to come in whenever he's summoned upon.
Yeah, listen,
I can see it, man.
Well, listen, we're recording this, but the buyout deadline is March 1st, which is the end of this week. We'll probably have some buyout guys. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, there's not many as past years.
The Cavs need a center. I don't know who could get bought out center-wise because they don't have anybody after Mobley or Jared Allen that's notable. Amani Bates,
he's not a center. Bro.
Do they need one?
You don't think they need a center?
Because here's my thing,
really
right?
Don't.
You start and close with Allen and Mobley.
Yeah.
You're never going to sit them at the same time unless it's garbage time. So you could stagger their minutes.
Right.
And worst case scenario, you could play Tristan Thompson for 5 minutes. It's not going to be the end of the world.
Right.
I forgot he was there.
5 minutes of Tristan Thompson might be decent.
Exactly.
He's a great rebounder.
Exactly.
All right.
That's really all you kind of need. Because at the end of the day, it's nice to have depth, but at most 9 players are going to play, but only really 7 or 8 are going to play more than 20 minutes.
Right. Especially in the playoffs, it gets even smaller.
Exactly. So if you're looking at the Cavs specifically, where you have Garland, Mitchell, let's say Strus starts, and then you have Mobley and Jared Allen, right? On your bench, whoever's not starting between Strus and Hunter is going to start. We know Ty Jerome's going to get minutes. We know Isaac Okoro is going to play. Javonte Green's going to be that 9th guy. I don't guarantee minutes for anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so smart that they traded LeVert and Niang, because he didn't need them anymore. They were going to clog up minutes in the playoffs for that bench unit because you just didn't need them. So now would I have rather have seen them trade Okoro instead of LeVert? Yes. But I think there's too much redundancy with LeVert. Okoro's more of a forward.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they needed. So
he kind of fits the spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So to me, I think this is exactly what Kenny Atkinson needed, was just that one little extra bit of oomph to kind of carry you over.
Yeah.
Because that bench lineup is good offensively, but they really didn't have that true defender, and now they do.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what it is, man. I just don't believe in Donovan Mitchell teams. You can call me a hater, but
it's fair to say he's never made it out of the second round.
Yeah.
But what I do want to talk more about, where, obviously we know the Celtics pretty much waxed the Cavs in 5 games, but keep in mind, Donovan Mitchell went off in game 2 of that series, and they won that game. If he doesn't get hurt, who knows what could have happened? Because we saw they did not take the Cavs seriously. They almost lost all 4 games to Indiana, And obviously Dallas was just exhausted. So like the Celtics could have gotten eliminated in the second round. We don't know. So
Possible.
Interesting to see, but they have matched up well with Cleveland this year in the regular season. We'll have to see going forward what they do because they've split so far.
Look, man, I think it's going to be doom and gloom for the Cavs in the playoffs. Celtics, they're going to turn it up, and it's going to be a scary sight to see.
Look, all I'll say is that he said the exact same thing about Boston and the Knicks last year, and look what happened.
I did say
so. It's definitely possible that Cleveland either wins it all or they crash out. We don't know.
Yeah.
So pretty much the opposite of what I say that's probably going to happen.
So yeah, I guess congrats for winning it all then. It's kind of what it is. But right now, I would favor whoever if it's a Cleveland Boston conference finals, I do think whoever wins that will win it all.
Oh,
Wow.
I think they're the
So
two
Eastern winner.
I think they're the two best teams in the league at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Not a
as
bad
far
take.
as,
Yeah.
but I just don't trust OKC.
Yeah,
I need to
OKC's a little.
I need to see OKC really show up,
Yeah.
especially now that the Warriors and Lakers, like if you meet with them in the second round, it's
Scary.
not a guaranteed win.
We're going to talk about the Lakers. At least I
No,
am.
the Warriors.
I want to talk about the Lakers.
We can
but
talk-
gets the
We can talk about we can talk about both of them.
Yeah, next segment we can do both.
So
And we still got the Knicks to talk about as well.
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
lots going on in the NBA. But does this move change anything for you regarding the Cavs?
Does this move the needle for me?
Yeah, him. And you can even count Hunter into this as well.
I mean, yeah, if you put Hunter into this, absolutely. But if we're just talking about what's his name, Javonte Green,
Yeah,
if we're just talking about him, I mean, based on what you said, you made a really good point. Like, I think a point of attack defender, and he's going to come in and get that one stop that changes the momentum of the game, like in the playoffs. I think that's a possibility, and that's likely when you have a guy like Javonte Green. Apparently, he's a great point of attack defender. So, yeah, I say this does move the needle. Every possession counts, as you said, and
Yeah.
if he comes up with like some steals, an extra steal or an extra block here and there, possessions are everything. So, yeah,
exactly. So could Cleveland finally get it done without LeBron? That would be insane. To be fair,
it would be.
bro, Donovan Mitchell.
How mad would Brown be though?
Not really.
He
LeBron's
wouldn't
actually really happy for
he?
Cleveland right now.
He wouldn't.
Okay.
I think
I feel like he was low key.
he'd be pissed if he loses to them, like if it's a Lakers Cavs final.
Yeah,
But
of course.
LeBron's low key like, nah, they're not supposed to win without me.
I will be pissed off if the one time the Cavs get to the finals is if the Warriors somehow make it as well.
Yeah,
Like, bro, that will piss me
that'd be
off.
sickening.
But speaking of the Warriors, let's get into the next
do
segment.
it.
All right, into the next segment. It's time for Tyler's Team Spotlight. It's either a team or a player. The Spotlight segment is always about someone or some team quietly playing good or quietly playing bad. And today we have a team, and contrary to last week, we have a team that is actually playing really well right now. We're going to talk about a team that had a bit of a switch up across the trade deadline and are now on absolute fire, and it's the Golden State Warriors. Not even a chance in hell do we think we'd be talking about them this late in the season. But I myself have had some ups and downs with this team. I predicted them to miss the playoffs completely and miss the play-in the beginning of the season.
Wow.
I had them winning their in-season tournament group, which they did.
Wow.
And then I just had them kind of crashing out kind of after the fact. But they went out and got Jimmy freaking Butler at the trade deadline, and they have him at least for the next 2 seasons, which is big for them, no matter how much they overpaid him. But so far, we have a decent sample size of about 7 games, and it's been working wonders. I mean, Jimmy Butler has been changing everything across the board, both offensively, defensively, efficiency, leadership, anything that they've needed, he's brought to the table.
Yeah.
And that's just who Jimmy Butler is. I mean, he's himmy buckets for a reason. In his last 7 games, the Warriors are 6th in offense. 6th in offense. I'm pretty sure in their first 44 games, they were 18th in offense. That's insane.
Wow.
So they're 6th in offense with a 120 net rating. They are 5th in defense. Now, granted, that really hasn't changed much because before then they were 10th. So, when you're 4th in the league in net rating in these 7 games specifically, that speaks volumes because what Jimmy Butler's doing is clearly working. And they've kind of been around the same as far as pace have gone. They're 19th now. They were 17th in their first 44 games. But you see a lot of the jumps, right? You go from 18th to 6th in offense. You go from 10th to 5th in defense. You go from 16th to 4th in net rating. all across the board. Because at the trade deadline, the number one thing you need to do is improve and make positive changes, especially when you're not playing good. Because we were talking about this team a few weeks ago. They were on a downward spiral towards missing everything. Like we were putting them in the same conversation as Phoenix, and we know how awful they are.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Jimmy specifically.
Yeah.
It's like 95% good, and I'll say 99% good and then 1% bad, because I saw a stat that was so flagrantly awful and I had no idea. But Jimmy Butler is a Warrior in these 7 games. He's averaging 20 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5.5 assists. He's shooting 46% from the field, but the most important thing is that he's averaging just over 9 free throw attempts per game. Now, there was a graphic that went kind of viral across last postseason when the Nuggets played the Lakers in the playoffs, where the Lakers just have a ridiculous free throw advantage. And you saw it was one of those bar line graphs that kind of stretches across from like side to side. The Lakers had far and away the most free throw differential. The Warriors were dead last. So, this is game changing for the Warriors, because without getting any calls, it's just go, 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 go. You get winded, you get tired. Jimmy Butler allowing to get himself to the free throw line allows this team to kind of take things slow, kind of give them a little bit of a breather, because, Steph is going to get tired after a while. We see him have these horrific shooting nights, and at least allowing him to get his land legs back, I think is good. Now, there's one bone to pick I have with Jimmy Butler. He's shooting 12.5% from 3.
What? That's crazy.
That's very bad.
That's really bad.
That's 12%.
12.5% from 3 as a Warrior.
Yeah.
The number in team.
Well, what's his volume of shooting?
His volume of shooting, that is a good question. Let me go look that up right.
Because here's what I would say to that. Like you can shoot 12% from 3, but you can still be an extremely effective player on the court.
Yeah.
Like we've seen some of the GOATs of the NBA shoot terribly from 3. Even Magic Johnson, he was in the low 20s from the 3.
Yeah,
he's to me the best point guard of all time.
So in his 7 games, he went 0 for 1, then he went 0 for 2, then he didn't take a single 3 at all.
Right.
He went 1 for 4, 0 for 1, 0 for 2. But still, though,
That's not bad.
you think of a Warrior shooting 12.5% from 3. That just sounds so strange.
Yeah.
To me, that's insignificant though. Curry's taking what, like 10 threes a game?
Yeah.
So he gets all the volume. That's fine.
Right.
Like Jimmy Butler can shoot an open 3 here and there, and if he misses it, that's okay because of everything else that he's doing for this team is insane.
I'm not asking him to be an elite 3-point shooter, but 12% is crazy.
I mean, yeah, on paper it looks bad.
That's nasty work.
But if you're watching the game, I bet it looks.
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
it doesn't hurt them at all.
Right.
But I just find it funny how the 3-point has just completely fallen off for him since he got to Golden State.
Yeah.
But specifically though, what Jimmy Butler's doing with the Warriors.
Yes, that's what I wanted to know.
Elevating the guys around him. Okay. Brandon Majemski actually looks playable.
Interesting.
He looks playable. His plus minus is through the roof over these last 7 games. So when you're elevating guys around you, that's making an impact, because I do firmly believe Steph can do that. But Steph, his back was breaking. He was doing everything. There was nothing he could really do with this team this season.
I don't see Steph as that type of guy. Steph is more so he's going to play outstanding himself. He's not going to really elevate the players around him. LeBron's that type of guy. James Harden was that type of guy.
He was, yeah. I think he is now.
I even think Russell Westbrook was that type of guy. But Curry, he's going to get his points regardless of who's guarding him.
I don't think he necessarily elevates at the level of LeBron or Jokic or them, but he can elevate. But you look at this roster before the whole change-up, what do you want him to do realistically?
Yeah.
The roster was garbage. Yeah. It wasn't good at all.
Well, listen, that was my biggest thing. I said they need to get rid of this dead weight. Wiggins, dead weight, ship him to Miami. Schroeder, unfortunately, didn't work out.
Nope.
Ship him out.
Yep.
Kyle Anderson, ship him out. Been bad. D'Anthony Melton, unfortunate. Chip out. Now you bring in Jimmy, and Moses Moody gets more minutes. Love Moses Moody.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I think he's one of the most underrated players. So what I have on the Warriors is Steph, Pods, Jimmy, Moses, Draymond equals Anthony's small ball lineup. W lineup.
What does that mean?
Small ball.
Oh, Anthony small ball.
Yeah, my small ball lineup.
Yeah, because, he's obviously a lot shorter than
that's
most
why I
people.
love these teams.
Yeah.
And then you have Buddy, 6-man year. Quentin Post equals W.
Yeah.
And Kuminga 2 question marks.
That's the craziest part about this whole thing.
What's going on?
They still don't have Kuminga yet. He still has to come back. So you add that, bro. Jimmy Kuminga minutes would be amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah, Kuminga would step in.
I didn't even think of that.
This team looks so much more like, yes, depth is a plus, but now that dead weight is gone, the team looks just so much more nicer to read with the guys' names. Like Moody was getting bench minutes, but should be starting. Pods, same thing, should not be getting bench minutes, should be starting.
No, I mean, in all fairness to Pods, I mean, he should not have seen the floor up until like last Saturday.
He's playing terribly.
Yeah, but that's a rookie that they need to get better. Kuminga, of course, Jimmy's stepping in. Draymond's taking that small ball 5 position right now.
I mean, they're kind of rotating it between Trace Jackson Davis, Looney, Draymond's every now and then you have Quentin Post. So the Warriors do have they have a variety of lineups they can play. It's just a matter of which one suits what matchup.
Right. Let me pose a question to you both. Okay. Yeah. So Tyler, you mentioned that Jimmy Butler is elevating the play of his teammates. So let me ask you guys, what is it specifically about Jimmy that elevates everyone around him? Is it his leadership in the locker room, or is it just his play style on the court that empowers people to be better? What is it about Jimmy specifically that helps him to elevate players around him?
I think it's both. And Jimmy's one of the rare few players that it's both. Because, I feel like there's some, I think it was Austin Reeves had an interview the other day, and we'll talk more about the Lakers in a bit, but he was talking his first year in the league. LeBron was on his ass about everything. He was just griping at him, nitpicking every single thing, and he was getting pissed. And he went to Phil Handy, who was the Lakers assistant coach at the time, and he said, I can't take this anymore. Like, Bron got to chill out. And he said he's only doing this because he believes in you.
Interesting.
And that is what we saw from day in and day out with Jimmy Butler's entire career. Did you not see him in the Raptors series in 2019? He was in Embiid's face the entire series, getting on him to shoot the 3, drive to the hoop, do whatever, because he believes in him.
Wow.
And we saw in Miami, when they made the finals run in 2023, he had full belief in all of his teammates. No matter how bleak it looked, that's the Jimmy Butler that I know, and that's the Jimmy Butler that we all know as playoff Jimmy or just Jimmy himself, Himmy buckets. You see the Warriors are stuck in this 2 timelines debacle where they're trying to get Steph a 5th ring while they're also trying to develop Kuminga and develop Moody and develop all these guys. Jimmy kind of fits right in between both of that, where Steph might not be great with developing the young guys and helping them grow, but Jimmy not only gives Steph the firepower he needs, he's the right vet to put around guys like Trace Jackson Davis and Brandon Pajemski. So to me, I see it from both ways. His play style on the floor just naturally elevates everyone else around him.
Tyler, that's an insane point you made, because maybe that's why this team has paid him this much money. We called it overpaid.
No, it is.
But maybe, no, but listen.
Yeah.
Because not only is he an outstanding player himself, he's bringing up the value of everyone around him. So is it really overpaid?
Might
or
not
maybe
be.
it's not.
Yeah. I mean, $60 million is a lot of
well, of course, that's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
But he's elevating everyone around him. Right. Wherever he goes, he's done that, as to your point.
Right.
So, honestly, I might go back on this. Maybe he's not overpaid. Maybe this is his worth, his value, because of how much he elevates his teammates.
Right. And look, I mean, if he can make the finals with a 5 seed and an 8 seed, then that at least has to be said for something, right? How does he get farther with that than when he was a 1 seed? That's crazy to me. It's wild.
And now, wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the Heat now that he's gone? Does that mean all these players that he was with, do they get worse? Does Bam Adebayo, is he still the same player now that Jimmy's gone?
What
do we think?
I think the Heat just need to move on at this point. Okay. Like, right now, the Heat are in a very interesting situation where they have a rising Tyler Hero, and he's been hooping all season, and he's been elevating the guys around him. Okay. Have you seen the way Khalil Ware's been playing? Like, the Heat are in good hands. I think when you have one of the best coaches of all time at the helm, I think they're going to be in good shape. It's just a matter of what do you do from here? Because Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Andrew Wiggins is nowhere near enough to get you anywhere towards an Eastern Conference Finals. So you got to go out and do something, right? And whoever becomes available, like if Zion becomes available, the Heat is a very attractive place. Kevin Durant, same thing. So you could easily figure stuff out, and the Heat have enough salary filler to not deplete their entire roster. So I think the Heat will be in good shape. They just needed to move on from Jimmy, needed to move on from Miami,
Right.
and Miami needed to move on from Jimmy.
Yeah.
So it was just an unfortunate situation. I don't really think there was meant to be any ill will or malicious intent towards either side. It's just Jimmy cares about his money, and the Heat didn't want to give it to him. So at the end of the day, you know, you call a spade a spade. I say this all the time on the show. Just move on.
Yeah.
It makes the workplace environment a whole lot less toxic.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, these guys are employees.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy, but they are.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I remember Colin Cowherd said something on his show like a couple years ago. Like, you know, you think all these players, they make a lot of money, but you got to think, for example, like Steph Curry, when he files his taxes, he's an employee.
Yeah.
You know, you're not the employer. Even though you're a gazillionaire, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you never think of that.
The human aspect comes back.
Exactly.
Just because you're an NBA player.
Well, employers are humans too.
Oh, of course.
But you don't think of an employer as a singular person. You think of an employee as a singular person.
I guess,
The
yeah.
employer's the company.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who's in charge of the company at the time, I guess.
Small business owners.
Yeah.
But
That's true. Ooh,
Yeah.
I almost knocked over my headphones. But yeah, I think that's kind of the gist with Jimmy specifically.
Yeah.
Of course.
What do you think about like the Warriors going forward now? How much of a threat could this team be in the Western Conference? How far could they go?
oh goodness, this is an insane question.
Very layered.
They're a threat. I'll say that, but I don't think they're going to go far.
Oh no, I don't think they're going to win a championship.
Yeah, like when I say far, I mean they're not.
This is second.
They're not
third
getting past the
round.
first round. I'm going to hold to that, even though they have become a threat with Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler, he's proved wherever he goes, he wins, period. And it could be ugly, it could be pretty, he wins.
He does.
So, yeah, absolutely, they're a threat. But I'm a Warriors hater from day one, so I'm going to stick to that. They're not getting past the first round if they even make it there.
Maybe we need the Warriors to make the finals to play the Cavs so we can root for the Cavs.
I
think we need to
I think the Warriors have a legitimate shot against every team in the West but Denver and OKC.
I don't need. They haven't played. They haven't played both of those teams yet. We have to see how that plays out before I make a decision.
I think Golden State can easily beat Houston and Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's
No, Houston and Memphis.
Yeah, now they got.
Let me put it to you this way: there's about 28 games left in the season.
Yeah.
The Warriors currently sit ninth in the West.
Okay.
However, they're only 5 games back of the 4 seed.
Holy crap!
So
Well, when you put it like that,
look,
28 games to go.
Here's my thing: they're easily getting past Dallas. I think they'll get past Minnesota. The Clippers, I don't know. The Clippers are a very strange franchise.
They're sneaky good.
Yeah, they are.
So you're looking at the Warriors potentially being a 7 or 6 seed going into the playoffs. If you go up against Memphis in the first round, I think it's a very winnable series for them. Now, granted, they'll probably lose to OKC in the second round in that situation, or they lose to Denver, whoever they have to play. But that's kind of, the Warriors are going to be a very tough out, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, right here.
So,
Yeah, that's the consensus. I
But
think
I'm still gonna hold to what I was saying before.
okay.
I think Jimmy obviously Jimmy moves the needle. They're a huge threat now, but
Yeah.
still.
we can't forget about Steph. That's why I'm putting so much emphasis that they could beat every
Well,
team
I can
but
forget
those
about
two.
Steph.
You can't
Listen, you got a lot of hate in the real, buddy.
Okay, all right.
did.
No
You
hate,
should
no hate,
look
no
at the
hate.
comments.
Who-
No hate.
who goes-
Wait, did I? I'm gonna read that later.
Who
gotta
goes
look at the
farther?
comments.
Who do you believe in more to win it all? Golden State or Cleveland?
Cleveland.
What a question, man.
It should be easy, bro.
It's
Come on, what are we doing?
The team that's built.
I don't believe in Cleveland, bro.
But you don't believe in Golden State, clearly.
Don't. All right, I'm not gonna answer that. I plead the
No,
fifth.
no, we do not sit on the fence here. Yeah,
Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook does not have a dog in this fight.
All right, fine. Cleveland, I guess.
Yes, let's go. We have breakthrough. So
Didn't want to say that.
exactly, I knew you didn't, but
Forced
it's
it out
okay.
of me.
You want to talk about your?
I want to talk about the Lakers.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So, did you guys watch the game?
Sadly,
Nuggets
sadly,
versus
yes.
Lakers.
Yes.
Yeah. So I watched part of the game.
Very
And
very LeBron pro game.
Very Doncic game too. Like the whole Lakers team was playing very well.
I don't.
Together.
The focus.
Pro
the-
LeBron.
The focus for me was none of those guys.
Who was
it?
it?
The man coaching them.
Hello, that's what I'm about to get into.
Yeah.
Oh, JJ.
Yeah, so JJ, he was the all-star of that game.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Even though you didn't see him with the jersey on, he was the all-star, and let me tell you why. The defensive scheme that he drew up against Jokic was different than I've ever seen anyone play defense against Jokic. Like, that was just insane.
I think Jackson Hayes guarded him for maybe 30 seconds that entire game.
Yeah. Who was it? It was mostly forwards. It was like Rui Hachimura fronting.
He was never in single coverage
Never.
that entire game.
Never.
There was one play in the second quarter where he was in single coverage, and that was because he got the ball with 4 seconds left in the shot clock, threw up a heave, and of course he made it. But I credit JJ for the game plan, but man, Malone coached an awful game. It's bad. This is more so towards Calvin Booth because the main reason why the Lakers were able to play this type of defense is because the Nuggets have no shooting.
This is true.
Any type of spacing, like if you had Bruce Brown in the corner and you had like Jeff Green or Michael Porter, if you had anyone that could shoot in the corner right now, the Lakers would not have been able to play that type of defense.
You're right.
It was kind of a double-edged sword because you had a cold Michael Porter Jr. game. You didn't really have much of an interior game at all with Aaron Gordon.
So, well, Aaron Gordon did go 4 from 7 from
three though.
So he provided some spacing, I guess you could.
Some, yeah, but they were letting him shoot that thing the entire game.
Westbrook, of course, he didn't play well.
That was probably the worst Russ game this season.
Shot badly from the field. I'm pretty sure he shot like 17 shots. Bad percentage. Forget what it was. Jokic, what was his stat line? Do we know?
He had a triple-double. He had 12 points, 13 assists, and 10 rebounds. Or 13 rebounds, 10 assists.
That's such a funny Jokic
But he
line.
took
A triple-double in a loss. That's rare for Jokic.
He took 7 shots that entire game.
Exactly.
And that's why this defensive scheme was insane. And this goes back to when LeBron and JJ, I don't know if you know this, LeBron and JJ Redick, they were on the podcast together.
They talked about it
last year or something like that, and they were discussing how they would defend Jokic if they were the coach, right?
Yep.
And then a year later, JJ Redick is coaching LeBron James, and they do exactly what they said on the podcast, and they execute it to a perfection.
Yeah.
You know what they did?
What?
They did a me. They saw it from the beginning.
They saw it from the beginning, like Anthony.
And to be fair, you can't do that with Anthony Davis on the roster. So they needed to move on from him to allow that to happen because Anthony Davis was going to be in single coverage versus Jokic regardless.
Yeah,
I think I agree with that. But it's a pride thing because Anthony Davis is like, no, I'll guard him.
Right.
Even though it's better if they guarded him as a team.
Right. But guarding by committee, like there was LeBron talked about it, I think, but in the finals in 2023, Jokic shot 70% from the free throw line in.
Yes.
Bro, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Ridiculous statistic. But you can't, with defending by committee, and this is where it's perfect to do that against Denver right now because they have no sort of outside offense. And this team, I'm trying to put this in the nicest way possible, but they are garbage without Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
They are clueless on the offensive. They don't know what to do.
Bro, be straight up. You don't have to be nice.
I have to be blunt about this because, quite frankly, this team looks like the 2024 Pistons without Jokic on the floor because they just never developed any sort of game plan for anything.
Without him. Yeah.
They don't know what to do. The best offense I saw was last season against the Clippers when Jokic was out for that game and Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan went off for like 20, 30 points each.
Yeah.
That was the best they looked.
Well, what do you do if all you know as an offensive player is as soon as you get past half court, throw the ball to Jokic and that's it?
Here's the problem.
How do you learn?
Here's
if you're
the
a
problem.
player?
Because this is where the ACL injury to Jamal Murray really killed this team. Because not only did it shut their window for those like 3 years, Jamal Murray was the best player on the team in the bubble. Jamal Murray was the one running the offense. They had it working with Jamal Murray. And then when he came back, Jokic was just so much better that they didn't need Jamal to be the first option. And now you kind of need someone to help Jokic out because he really just doesn't have the help as well as he did before.
That's crazy to think that Jamal was the best player on the team at one point. That's insane to think about.
He was dropping 50-point games like they were going out of style.
I remember.
He did have 55 a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he did.
He's not the same player though.
There needs to be some sort of game plan.
Yeah.
The Nuggets need to figure out something in the offseason.
They must, and even this season, if they want to have any hopes of winning anything, they have to figure out because this is going to be something that other teams look to when they guard Jokic. They're going to look at this film.
Yeah.
So the Nuggets have to figure out they got to shoot better, obviously, and they got to figure out how they're going to combat this defensive scheme because this looks like it's it.
The only team I could see doing this is OKC.
Yeah.
Because I don't see another team that has this type of defense that you could throw at them.
Yeah.
Because like the Lakers were throwing out Jared Vanderbilt.
He was outstanding.
Rui Hachimura, Reeves. They had all these guys. Like, obviously, the Thunder have defensive capabilities. They have J-Dub, they have Caruso, they have SGA, they have all those guys.
Yep.
Outside of that, I mean, Memphis's defense is really depleted over the years. The Rockets, I just don't believe in this year. The Clippers don't really have that much of a defensive scheme, and the Mavs are in the infirmary. So,
But look, this defensive scheme that made Luka Doncic look like a good defender.
like, remember I said 2 weeks ago, if you have one bad defender on the court, you can hide that man easily.
Okay.
And that's exactly what they did.
Fair.
Now, granted, the Nuggets' offense looked abysmal, but that's just what it is.
I credit the Lakers defense, but I
think
digress.
It's both.
It's both.
So, and yeah, that was probably one of the worst Jokic games of his career, and it's crazy. That's what happens when you're all time great. The timeline has a field day with it. So, but yeah, I don't want to overreact too much about it from the Nuggets' point of view because the Lakers pulled out everything to win that game.
They did.
So we'll see what happens. They still have 2 more matchups against each other in March.
Yes.
And if they do meet again in the playoffs, it will definitely be a lot different.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I view the Lakers as a threat to anyone in the West.
Yeah,
Still have LeBron,
100%.
and they have Luka now. The coach is coaching his A off. So
Yeah.
this team is scary.
In my opinion, they are the second toughest out in the NBA right now.
Behind who?
Detroit.
Okay.
That's
That's a crazy take, but okay.
That is good.
Not a crazy take at all. They're about to win their 7th straight game tonight.
I still think it's a crazy take. In terms
They're
of playoff,
they're
in terms of a playoff out,
rejuvenated.
Talk about a team that has absolutely nothing to lose, riding on pure adrenaline this season.
Yeah.
They're doing this without their second best player.
Yeah.
They're a threat. They're a team that people take lightly. No one takes the Lakers lightly.
Okay.
Because it's the
Yeah.
Lakers.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And they're also in a weaker conference, so they could easily knock off someone.
Okay.
But
point.
as
All
far
right.
as the Lakers go, this team could make a run.
Yeah,
as
they
much
could.
as I hate to say it, because I hate the Lakers, but it's very much possible. They could beat anyone.
100%.
If you could beat Denver, you could beat anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the gist of that.
Yeah,
Do we have any sort of final thoughts before we move on to the next segment?
Let's go.
All right, into the next segment. Now, guys, I am looking very much forward to this next 15-ish minutes. We're going to talk about a team that I've been shitting on my entire existence, but, for the main majority of the past, 8-ish months, and it's the New York Knicks. Now, I've been saying all along that this team overachieved last year. This team is pretenders. This team's not good enough. And we're on sort of that kind of trend. We saw them take on 2 of the top teams in the Eastern Conference over the past week, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. They got absolutely blown out in Cleveland, and then against Boston, they got shellacked, had a fake-ass comeback, and then got shellacked again in the 4th quarter. So this now makes the Knicks 0-7 this year versus the Thunder, the Cavs, and the Celtics. And all 7 of those games have ended in double-digit losses. Most of them have been blowouts. So just like I've been saying, I mean, I could say my piece after. I think it's only right that we let the Knicks fan go first.
Yeah.
So, Antoine, the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, my
Do
God.
not hold anything back.
I didn't even watch these games because I knew it was going to be blowout, and boy, was I right.
You didn't watch this game?
I had the Boston game on in the background. I shut it
Okay.
off. Oh, my God. So, like Tyler said, 0-7, 0-3 against Boston, 0-2 against Cleveland and OKC.
Wow.
The total points, Cleveland has scored 252 in 2 games. That's an average of 126. Boston has scored 381 total. That's an average of about almost 130. OKC has scored 243 in the 2 games. That's an average of, again, almost 120. So we're out looking at 120 averages all across the board, regardless. In the season series with Boston, this is a good stat. Out of 144 total minutes played, the Knicks did not lead for a minute. Instead, they only led for 50 seconds.
It's a long time, to be fair.
Against Boston, Mikal Bridges is shooting a little below 44% from the field. Nothing really concerning. The major concern is our highest paid player. That's OG Anunoby. In 24 career games against the Boston Celtics, he has yet to score 15 points in a game.
$46 million a year.
15. He hits 15 on a regular basis consistently.
Wait, he's your highest paid player?
OG's the highest
Isn't
paid
he?
player.
He's making more money than Cat this year.
Seriously?
You want to?
I'm gonna look right now.
Fact check that.
No way he's making more than Cat.
All right. Again, more stats. You want the good? You want the good stat first?
Yeah, Cat's making 49.
So he's
OG's making 50.
OG's making 36 this year.
Oh, maybe.
But that's the AAV, so it's different. Yeah.
You want to hear the good stat first?
Yeah.
The Knicks are pretty good in steals, almost 8 a game. That's
Okay.
16th in the league. Middle of the pack. That's pretty good.
No, it's pretty mid.
The Knicks are 20th in defensive rating, behind Charlotte. Charlotte is 15th.
Wow.
Knicks have 114.3. Charlotte is 113.7.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Don't we love how Cat gets all these rebounds? He's getting like double-doubles like crazy.
Yeah.
Knicks are 25th in defensive rebounds.
Wow.
32.2. 25th.
I'm really enjoying this.
It's actually really bad.
Oh, wait. It gets worse. Don't we love our blocks? You know what the Knicks rank in blocks?
28th.
Dead last.
Okay.
I tried to be generous.
All right, so we get it.
They
The
are
Knicks
tied with
defense sucks.
Miami. Tied with Miami for bottom barrel with 3.8 blocks a game.
That's pretty bad.
That is a defense that is non-existent, and the biggest problem is OG Anunoby.
Really?
That is the biggest.
Why is he the biggest issue?
He is the sole defense right now on this team.
He's the only defender, you're saying?
100%. Mikhail's defense has not been the same. Cat is not playing no defense. And neither. Josh Hart, I'll give him, but he's been kind of injured recently.
Yeah.
Not the Tibbs problem more
Brunson doesn't really play, but
No, he
OG,
doesn't.
we needed OG.
Brunson does draw a lot of charges,
No,
though.
of course. But OG was the defensive guy from Toronto last year, showed up
Right.
really big for us.
Right.
Played. Tibbs ran him into the ground.
He's doing that again this year.
Again. And the bench is McBride, Campaign, Precious Achua,
They can't play
Landry
defense.
Shamet.
They suck at defense.
Mitch comes back, but Mitch is still a walking injury waiting to happen.
He's also just not that good.
I mean, he's definitely going to get you defensive rebounds.
He'll get you
He'll help
some.
with that.
If they come up against Cleveland and Boston in the playoffs,
Oh, forget it.
I'm not watching any of those games
Okay, come on.
unless they're in MSG.
Like I said 5 minutes ago, if the season ended today, you got a first round series against Detroit.
Ooh.
And whether you win or lose that series, they are going to give you hell for at least 4 to 7 games.
Listen, I loved what they did this year with OG resigning was the first thing that got done. I love that. We were here for that when that happened. This was still when Randall was there. Hardenstein was the big question mark. We wanted those guys back. Ihart left. Sad. We're stuck with Mitchell Robinson. Who would have been the center without Cat now? Who are we looking at? Nobody, essentially. Cat comes in. Major, complete overall. Can you lower your light a little bit? It's a little bright, buddy.
It's too bright?
Yeah, lower it a little bit.
I could lower it on the post-it if you want, but
No, he's really bright. What happened?
Yeah, keep
Don't
going.
let this distract.
But Cat comes in, Mikhail comes in. Dante had a great first year. He was lighting up the garden. Everybody loves the Italian guy. Rando, we were hoping he was going to come back again from his injury, play well. We're looking like we saved a little bit with Dante and Rando. They're pretty much non-existent in Minnesota right now. Maybe we dodged a bullet. Who knows? But Cat has been a blessing in disguise. There's no question about that. He's like the savior of this team. And that's pretty funny to say because he plays no defense like Tyler says.
Yeah.
But it was an all-star starter. But we need blocks. Mitch is the blocker. Mitch blocks shots like left and right.
Right.
But can't stay on the court.
Yeah.
OG. What's going on? That's the big thing.
So
Mikhail.
Can you tell me what's going on with OG? Because he's supposed to be that big time defender, and he's like your two-way player. What's going on with him? Tell me.
OG right now, there's a lot. The ball handling right now is Cat and Brunson. Those are the guys that want to score. OG's not getting the shots. Mikhail's taking the shots and missing them by like an inch or two, and they're coming out every single time. Hart is not shooting. We know that.
Right.
OG, I think it's a thing from last year with his injury. Again, with this year, maybe he's not fully healthy.
Okay.
Mikhail looks nothing like he looked like in Brooklyn.
Right.
But he is playing.
he somehow looks worse than he did in Brooklyn.
I don't think Mikhail likes the fit. I don't think I don't think they're utilizing him. He's not getting utilized correctly. Dante would have been the perfect shooting guard next to Brunson, like it was last year. Mikal was not needed. You could have kept Dante. If you kept Dante and you got Cat, I would have been so much more happy. I don't think. Plus, we keep our picks. But I guess you had to throw in Dante. You didn't really have to throw in Dante. You could have thrown in someone else. Hart.
Right.
But Hart was needed to keep Hart.
The Wolves needed some low, cheap contract.
I would have loved.
They could have went for like give McBride.
They couldn't because he just signed.
No, they could have gave like Achua. Signed him. You got rid of him.
Look, here's the problem, and this is where I'll insert myself to try and give some insight from a non-Knicks fan, because obviously you're a Knicks fan. You're a little bit biased.
Of course.
I'm obviously biased too because I hate that franchise with every ounce in my soul. But when I'm on this show, I try and be as unbiased and objective as possible. You're absolutely right in the sense that Cat can't defend. Cat's like a lost cause defensively, no matter what you do. The problem is Tom Thibodeau's playing a drop coverage and they can't rebound.
Interesting.
For
the viewers that don't understand what that is, can you tell us really quick?
Drop coverage it's self-explanatory. You're basically just sagging back and just hanging by the hoop. The Nets drove me crazy last year with the drop coverage because we were all so happy about Nick Claxton grabbing 17 boards a game. We were getting killed on the 3-point line. And that's exactly, the Knicks can't guard the perimeter to save their life. And they have supposedly the best defense in the NBA, like from the point of attack, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago on different teams, you could say that. But it's terrible because you're playing drop coverage against the Boston Celtics. Yes, the Boston Celtics that shoot 53-point shots a game. Drop coverage. What is Tom Thibodeau doing? Like genuinely, I have no idea. It's killing the Knicks defense. And even when they do go man-to-man or zone or switch everything, it doesn't really change much. But the drop coverage is just adding an insult to injury. You're just putting salt and lemon juice in the wound. Yeah. So it's basically it's driving me nuts because like the ceiling of this team can be high. It can be, but like they don't have the assets to do this. And
I mean, I don't even think it's the assets though, Tyler. I think maybe it's Tibbs. Because what kind of like isn't he supposed to be known as this defensive coach?
He is.
Isn't that his?
Remember, they dubbed Jacques Vaughn as a defensive-minded coach. So that needs to be taken either lightly or heavily depending on what situation you're in.
But based on his history, though.
On his history, yes. But Leon Rose gave him an awful roster to do this with. Yeah. Because, look, I don't hate re-signing OG Anunoby. Was he overpaid? Sure. But you kind of needed to do that because you traded away RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley for him. You had to re-sign him. Cat was, I think, a fine move for what it is. The problem is what you did a month prior to that by trading 6 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. I said it from the start. He was never going to return to Phoenix form, and he hasn't even returned to a Brooklyn form. He had one good game this season, one singular good game when he dropped 40 points on Christmas Day. Aside from that, he's been fairly average or he's been absolute god-awful. And that essentially monkey-wrenched the Knicks because you don't do the Mikal trade. You trade for Cat. It probably costs you an extra pick, but then you have assets now. You can go get a Kevin Durant. You could go get a Brandon, and you can get anyone you want. But now the Knicks have screwed themselves over massively here because no one wants that Washington pick. You can't trade away. You don't have a tradable first-round pick until 2033, and that pick won't be tradable until next year. So the Knicks are in a big hole.
Yeah. Listen, I would have been fine with everything minus Mikal right now because there's nothing to trade from. I mean, you could try to trade him in the offseason, or isn't he a free agent?
He has a player option, I think. Let me check the payroll right now. I have it up.
If I'm the Knicks, I don't see a fit with Mikal. Like, he's great. I love that he plays every game because we need that. We're too much injury-riddled. But there's more negatives to his game with us than positives that I see.
He has one more year on his contract. Okay. And some reports said he would take a pay cut. Some reports said he wants $200 million. So
I wouldn't give him that. I think Brunson is the only one that could take a pay cut.
Bro, Brunson took a pay cut.
Yes.
But you said you see more negatives than positives in Mikal's game. What are you seeing?
There's no comfortability.
He's not comfortable.
I don't think his shot in the beginning of the year, he changed it up. I don't think it's his most comfortable shot. again, I don't think the fit with us. There's too much firepower on our team for him to thrive. He needs to have his own role. His role in the Knicks right now is kind of just the guy that's playing every game. That's the health. That's really it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of, I guess, the consistencies that he's playing, but you're not getting consistent scoring. You're not getting consistent defense.
I'd say that Mikal at his best, he was never your first, second, or maybe even third option. Maybe he was your third option at his best. I'm talking about the Phoenix Suns.
The thing that, like, I don't know what JB and Hart saw with adding Mikal to this team, even with Dante and Randall still there. Like, keep in mind, maybe they thought they would not trade for Cat, and they were expecting Randall and Dante to be back. Hence, you have more depth with Mikal. But even 6 first-round picks, you can't recover from that. What if that team with Dante and Randall did significantly worse than this team right now? You're kind of in that hole again.
That's the problem.
So it's kind of the fact that Mikal had one team only to go to, not was across the river or across the borough, per se. It's the Knicks have to give up the premium price. Yeah. There is no bidding war.
Because he wasn't available, and it's interdivision. It's literally crosstown rivals. There has to be an extra fee added on to that.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
And the 6 picks for him, for his caliber,
that's the issue.
That's the issue. At first, I was thinking, this is okay on paper.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing it.
It's never been okay.
It never looked okay.
It was never okay. Let me tell
happened.
you, this is the issue, though, Anthony. The issue is that everyone expected Mikal Bridges to be this superstar player because of how much the Knicks traded for him. So now they expect all this in return, and they were never going to get that.
But here's the problem. He's not the way he's been playing. It doesn't even look like he was traded for 1 first-round pick. He's been so subpar, and that's what I've been. I tried to warn y'all. I literally did.
You did. You were the Brooklyn guys.
Here's the difference between Phoenix and the Knicks, right? Jalen Brunson is a great player, but he's not Chris Paul. A floor general playmaking point guard does so much for that kind of team.
Very true.
Devin Booker scores unlike anyone on that Knicks team can from his position, and they had a consistent starting center that was good on both ends at the time, where they don't really have that now. Cat only plays offense. Mitchell Robinson's never on the floor. That Phoenix Suns team was so firepowered from top to bottom. Mikal just needed to do his thing.
Yeah.
But
his thing was also defense, and that's where I'm kind of confused. What's going on with Mikal on the defensive side?
There's no one. He was never the best defender on. I don't think he was ever the best defender on that team.
I think he was.
He was put in the best position to be the best defender.
What does that mean, though?
Like, look, having an anchor defensively does so much for everyone else because he's the point of attack guy. DeAndre Ayton was doing everything down low.
Okay.
That's why I give Rudy Gobert so much credit because Rudy Gobert anchors that defense last year. He did everything he could down low. That Cat didn't look like a cone, and Jaden McDaniels was on fire on the defensive end at the point of attack. So you look at this team now. Cat's your 5. It looks terrible, which if it doesn't work down low, if it doesn't work in the interior, it's going to trickle down to the outside. And that's why they can't defend the interior, which means they can't defend the perimeter. And it just is a whole mess.
The thing, like, this season, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, I would be upset with the first round exit. But I wouldn't be upset because that gives the Knicks the message that maybe this team is not what we thought it was. We need to move pieces around. We can't run this back next year. We were out in the first round from, like, maybe Detroit beats us in their first year back in the playoffs. Maybe a depleted Milwaukee. Say, God forbid, we don't want Giannis to get injured. But something happens to Milwaukee, and you need to retool this team.
Well, you don't have Bobby Portis right now.
Yeah.
He'll be back for the playoffs.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
But the first guy that's gone from the team, the Knicks, that's Mikal Bridges. I'm looking at him. That's the first guy that's gone.
I don't think it will be.
That has to be.
How bad? Well, let me ask you this before we move on. Because we've been talking about this for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How bad would it look, right? At the end of June in 2024, you trade 4 firsts, the first from Milwaukee, and then the swap. And then 1 year later, you trade him for 2 seconds.
Well, listen, you got to get at least something back. It looks bad, 100%, but you take the draft picks for this class this year, you could probably find a replacement like that if you draft really well.
Right. if anything, you move him at the deadline next year because he's on an expiring. And
course.
he really would need to start playing because it's contract year now at this point.
Exactly.
Mikhail's had the ultimate security his whole career. He really never has been in this spot where he gets traded from Phoenix, hooped the hell out in Brooklyn when he got there, and then it all just fell to pieces.
Yeah.
So
The thing, and also the bench is a problem because Campaign, Shamit, Ouch were all there on 1-year deals. Only returning bench guys, McBride, maybe Mitch. Again, bench depleted, big issue. Who are you bringing in? More vet minimum guys? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest,
bargain bin?
as long as Tom Thibodeau's still there, it really doesn't matter who your bench is because he's not going to play them.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so before we close out this segment, really quick, Anthony, because you're the Knicks fan, I want to ask you, what is the hope for the Knicks this season? What can they do to go far in the playoffs and potentially win?
My hope is, Boston and Cleveland, I think, are unreachable for them right now just because Tatum almost got a triple-double on OG Anunoby yesterday.
Right.
He was 1 assist shy.
Try to be optimistic, though. What can they do?
They can go second round.
No, but what can they do to improve?
Oh, what they can do? Start playing defense. It starts right at the fundamentals. OG's got to get back to his fundamentals that he knows. Mikhail needs to get back to his fundamentals of some good shooting, the defense. The health is great. He's not been out. Jalen and Cat, I don't think Cat can play defense. That's kind of been the thing.
That's just not
a kind of Hearts thing. But listen, I'm fine with second round, hard fought exit in the second round from a really good team, or if they make it to the conference finals,
Man,
that's great in itself.
I need some more optimism out of you.
Listen, it's not a finals team. I mean, I would love it if they all just click at the same time.
Okay. You got to believe in your team.
That would be, I believe, but
Okay.
What do you think?
Until I see
What do I think?
improvement.
I think they need, I genuinely think if they get Mitch back and he's healthy, I think to your point, Tyler, or talking about Rudy Gobert, I think he can kind of fill that role. And once they build from the inside out, from the interior defense to the outside, I think that will solve their defensive issues. I think their offense is already outstanding. Where are they? Top 5?
They're top 5 offense.
Yeah.
Top 5 offense.
I
think if Mitch comes back, he plays a sort of Rudy Gobert role that fixes their defense on the inside, therefore fixing their defense on the outside. Therefore, their defensive overall ranking rises up. They're already a top 5 offense. And then now you see this team is a really good team, contender. That's what I think.
I'm a big Mitch believer because he is so great defensively, and he just gets blocks out of nowhere. He's so long, long strides.
When does he come back?
He's practicing, but it's kind of like a day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this week.
It's not guaranteed.
It's not.
And also last year, opponents scored 5.5 points more per 100 possessions when he was on the floor, which is the 11th percentile. So
Okay.
I just saw the cleaning the glass
We'll
stat.
see.
That's not great.
Yeah, I think this team can get past the first round.
Okay.
The only way I see them getting farther is if they get a generational whistle, which wouldn't surprise me. But it doesn't look good. If you have to play at least Boston. You have to play Boston or Cleveland in the second round.
Correct.
And I think Cleveland wipes you in 6. I think the Celtics probably sweep you.
Yeah, either way.
So that's kind of what it is at that point.
Exactly.
And honestly, right now, if the season ended today, I would pick Detroit over the Knicks in a playoff series. That's how they're also the hottest team in the league right now.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to give them the respect. But right now, Cade against that Knicks defense is food.
He's frying them.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
French fries.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a way to bring back Detroit, by the way.
I wouldn't be opposed
be
to a
amazing.
first round exit because then that implies change needs to be done for the whole team.
Well, you don't
That's why.
necessarily want a first round exit because
Yeah.
that means we're getting a mid first round pick from you.
Yeah.
So that 2028 swap is what I'm very curious about because now that got a lot more. It gets a lot more interesting because a lot of these guys' contracts end right before that. So we'll see what the Knicks do from here if they do crash out or not. Because right now, I think Brunson's the only player that will get you a good return in a trade.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
So we will have to see. I was going to talk about the Cat trade. We're going to save that for a future episode. Stay tuned. But on that note, I think it's time we move on. All right, into the next segment. We're done with the team talk now. It's time to go back to some trade talk because we just can't seem to run away from it. It just always seems to follow us. But we saw a report come out the other day that it would not surprise, and I think it was like an NBA executive, it would not surprise them if Ja Morant is the next star to get moved. And this might be a lot sooner than we think because it could wind up happening in just a few months this summer. So Antoine's got the deets on this. What do we have here?
So I didn't know anything about this, so I was under Gio's rock this week with him.
Okay.
Patrick Jr. That's also wild, by the way.
Yeah, I was under his giant rock. So Howard Beck from The Ringer. Ringer is very credible. I like a lot of their stuff they do.
Yeah, I like The Ringer. They do like the 100
so
players.
In quotes, he said, somebody out of the blue said, keep an eye on Ja this summer. I'm just saying it's one of those things I'm just kind of keeping an eye on if they were to flame out early.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this an anonymous person?
Somebody out of the blue. Could be like an executive, could be an NBA insider.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's an executive because they're like, or someone close with the team.
Okay.
Because otherwise, who else would be like spewing out random shit like that?
So, very rare. The general manager, who's a very busy man, saw this and had a very interesting response. So Zach Kleiman, who was my pick for the GM of the executive of this year, he said, "I'm potentially trading Ja Morant. I can't blame other executives for fantasizing about us trading Ja, but it's just that fantasy. We are not trading Ja. Continue to underestimate Ja, this team and this city, and we will let our performance on the floor speak for itself. I'm not going to give this nonsense further oxygen and look forward to getting back to basketball."
That's something I would say. Further oxygen.
So
is something.
So Zach Kleiman, very young general manager in the up and coming NBA, clearly has a stance on this already, and Ja is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think he's very firm in this. I think whoever said this, they're not going to give who it is, but the fact that Zach Kleiman responded to this pretty quickly and this statement clearly was very well put out by him. I think this clearly indicates that this article probably is not going to be as credible come summertime.
Probably not.
From my basis. But who knows? Zach Kleiman could get a deal and could move him. Yeah. We don't know. GMs change their mind. Hey, Nico Harrison.
Well, no, he's been feeling this way for a long time.
Okay,
he was waiting for Cuban to sell the team.
Time.
Yeah.
But what do we feel about this? Their franchise point guard, their leader of their team, going to another team potentially, getting traded, and you're kind of in a retooling type of phase in Memphis. Who could be the fit, and what would be probably the package you get for Ja?
You just speak a little bit louder.
I think I'm kind of sick. I have nasally, so I'm sounding a little nasally, but I'm okay. But what would be the return you think for Ja, ideally, from any team, and who's the perfect fit for Ja to flourish
to replace him?
No. Where would?
That's what it would be, though. Right?
Who would want Ja? Who would they get back? Mm-hmm. And then, who gives them the best package?
Interesting question.
So ironic too, because the Grizzlies always give the best packages in trades. So it's like they offered 5 first-round picks for Bridges twice.
Wow.
And the Nets said no both times.
Wow.
But
yeah, I guess where does he fit?
Where does Ja fit?
And who could give the best package?
It's hard.
I mean, to me, it's clearly Miami.
Okay.
But I don't want Ja traded. I don't.
Yeah.
To me, this seems like you just saw Luka Doncic get traded out of the blue. You're seeing Ja Morant's having a very bad season for his standards, for a superstar standards and all-star standards. So why not try and cause a little bit of drama, a little bit of fun? That's kind of what it seems like. And credit to Kleiman for getting his face in front of a microphone and, turning down all this stuff. Obviously he could still get moved, but I just don't know. I can't really see it happening. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make much sense to me to trade him now. He's at his lowest value. He's not having a good season. The Grizzlies are still trying to figure stuff out while still competing for a championship. Mm-hmm. The West is wide open. They could easily make a run. I'm confused.
Well, if you look at it this way, I don't see why they would be completely closed off to an idea or a possibility of trading Ja in the future. Yeah. Or even in the recent or in the soon coming
near
future. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
English is hard. It's
okay. Yeah, it's tough. But and because players like Ja, they tend to get injured And then after they get injured that first time, that one time, it's pretty downhill from there. So why not, throw out a possible trade, see what you can get out of Ja when he's at his peak in terms of his athleticism and his potentials through the roof before an injury. See what you can get, rather than him getting injured on the Grizzlies and then just peaking and just dropping from there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. I think that's also really kind of a theme of that draft class, like Zion, Ja, Barrett, Garland, Hunter. Like, they're all really, really good when healthy. Right. But when they're injured, it happens a lot. And thankfully, we're seeing a healthy season from both Hunter, Barrett, Garland. I mean, they're pretty much all healthy outside of Zion this year.
Hey, Zion's the lightest he's been since Duke.
Yeah, 264.
Not buying it. He paid somebody to fake that.
Oh, for real? Oh, he's joking. He's joking. Okay.
Yeah.
Not buying it. He paid someone to rig that scale.
But I see your point because, look, I mean, if Mikal Bridges can have a bad season and get traded for 6 picks, anything's possible. Right. And if Luka can get traded for 1 first-round pick, anything's possible.
Right.
But where do you think the best fit would be then?
Ooh. The best fit for Ja?
Yeah. I see a few places. I mentioned Miami, but I want to see if we're on the same wavelength here, if there's any other places that we have in mind.
I can't really think of a place that fits Ja perfectly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what else? What other teams were you thinking?
Portland.
Why Portland?
They have the young players to trade.
If Portland wants to kind of expedite their process here, no matter this is obviously depends if they don't get Dylan Harper, if they don't get a point guard. Let's say they win the lottery and they get Cooper Flagg. I think they'll keep Scoot, but they have a lot of guys they can move around. And if Scoot's not starting next year, you could roll out a lineup of Ja, Shaedon Sharpe, Cooper Flagg, Donovan Clingan, and Tumani Kamara. That's a really good lineup. Now, granted, it's worse than the Grizzlies are now, but that's a long shot option. Miami is perfect. I think it would he would help the Heat in a variety of ways where he can play make, he can score. I think having him and Hero as a backcourt duo would be really good. The Heat would keep him in check. I think being under Spo and Pat Riley, everything he did off the court that got him suspended and everything like that will never happen again.
Yeah.
Not a chance in hell.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
What do you think about New York?
Brooklyn.
I wouldn't be opposed to a Ja Morant in Brooklyn. I love Ja Morant. Okay. Oh, I would love to see him in Brooklyn.
How fun would that be to watch? A little selfish of me to say.
Very.
But yeah.
Very.
What about New York?
No.
Anthony.
I mean, what assets do they even have?
For Ja.
No. No way.
He did say in the preseason he would take Ja over Brunson in a heartbeat.
You did say that.
I would.
You still
healthy Ja. We're talking about high flying.
Yeah. He's healthy.
He's healthy. He just is not playing as good as he was previously.
Oh, I was going to throw out a team that could just swap point guards easy.
Who?
Denver. Jamal for Ja.
I think right now,
all you could do.
I think we can safely say when they don't win the title because I just don't think it's going to happen if they keep this up. But if they don't win the title, MPJ's the casualty.
Okay.
Jamal Murray just signed. He's staying.
Right.
MPJ's up for a contract extension in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
And they're not trading a forward for a guard.
Plus, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic have been playing together for a decade.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen.
Ooh, listen. Another thing, too. Since the Lakers just got a point guard.
Yeah.
Why can't the Clippers rebound with Ja Morant for the Intuit Dome?
Ooh, I mean, it's possible, but they don't have picks, and James Harden I'm enjoying this James Harden renaissance.
But James is getting old, though.
Still, I'm enjoying
it.
I know he's playing outstanding.
James is getting...
Is like another year, maybe.
James is getting my first team All-NBA vote this year.
That's insane.
That's wild.
First team?
He's not even going to get an All-NBA this year. That's the funniest
maybe
part.
Second team.
Second team, bro.
He's not making it
I can bring up five point guards.
Hold on.
Remember, it's positionless.
First team is Jokic, Giannis. Luka's not eligible.
It's Jokic, Giannis, SGA,
Tatum,
Mitchell.
It could either be Mitchell, and then you could either throw in
Cat.
You could throw in Cat. Brunson will probably make it. LeBron will probably make it. Jaren Jackson's going to make it.
No,
Cunningham's going to make it.
Should be ahead
Is
of
Davis eligible this year?
No, he's out for a long time now. So
Harden could be a good second team.
No, Harden,
No.
if anything, makes third team, but he's not making it at all.
He's
That's
not making-
so awful.
He's gonna be like 15.
I would put Norman Powell in before James Harden.
I think I would. Too.
But he's having a much better season.
James
as far
is
as
having
his product.
triple-double numbers every game. Almost.
Okay, so
So is Josh Hart. So it's like, I'm not putting
Yeah.
Josh Hart in all NBA.
Whoa.
But
Relax.
I'm trying to think of any other situations where Ja could work. I just don't. I just don't see many spots.
He could he could rebuild Utah.
If they're serious about wanting to compete, then I could see it happening. But I just Utah just wants to
Oh,
be ass.
wait. Right in front of us.
What?
Minnesota.
No,
Minnesota's not in front of me. My computer's in front of me.
No, but I know, but Minnesota, John
Why?
Anthony Edwards.
no, I don't see that.
I don't even guarantee Ant staying in Minnesota.
That would
long
be
term.
very cool, though.
It would be cool. They're
Our
too
Flyers-
they're too ball dominant
Yeah, they
to
are.
kind of work. You need Ja next to like
Ooh.
a second. You need Ja next to a first or second option that's not a guard. You
Exactly.
can't clog up the backcourt.
Needs to be a forward or
You know,
center.
you know what we've been talking about for a while? If this
Who?
team was really bad this year and they're looking Atlanta, trade for Ja.
Trey for Joe.
Ooh,
You swap point guards.
I don't
that's
see the purpose.
interesting. That is interesting.
No,
I
I,
don't
think
know.
Memphis keeps Ja, man.
You know what? I think we've been forgetting about Orlando.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
I was gonna
'Cause
bring
I was
Magic.
trying. I was trying to think of a first or second option that's not a guard.
Yeah.
and the Magic's two best players are
Yep.
forwards.
I was literally thinking of
But
that.
my issue is like he's not a great playmaker. They need Trey Young really badly. So I just don't.
Yeah, that's
I
the
just don't
perfect
see
one,
it.
I think.
Trey Young in,
Yeah,
in
He's
Orlando.
The perfect one
Yeah.
for Orlando.
Hey, look, if there's one other option, and if they don't win it this year, and we all know this team is not afraid to pull the trigger on any moves, and we have not had a good Drew Holiday season. If the Celtics want to get off of Drew Holiday for Ja Morant,
Oh my god.
if to me there's a realistic opportunity for that to happen because they're on good terms when they traded Memphis Marcus Smart in the Kristaps Porzingis trade. If Boston wants to get super crazy and freaky off the charts, that is an option.
That's insane.
Could you imagine Ja Morant on the Celtics?
That would be just ridiculous, bro.
Bro, I would just quit being a fan of basketball because they would probably win a bunch of titles. But
I don't know.
it's an option.
We're having a good time fantasizing.
Yeah, we're fantasizing a lot.
Yo.
But what?
What?
76ers.
No,
They have Maxey.
Maxey.
They have
You're
Max.
right, you're
He's
right,
playing.
you're
He's
right.
a
And
big
McCain.
I forgot about Maxey. I
No.
forgot about Maxey.
Maxey's awesome, man.
They're
He's
looking
so
at they're
good.
looking at a lottery pick though. So Cooper Flag is in the question,
Yeah, or any of those.
or
good
any of
players,
those guys.
like,
Ace Bailey, any of those guys.
I think-
Okay, yeah, he stays, bro.
I think
He's
he
not
stays
going
in
anywhere. He's
Yeah,
staying in
he's
Memphis.
staying.
What,
Yeah, no,
what are we
he's
talking
not
about?
going.
What are we talking?
Without a doubt.
This report is bogus.
Cap.
I wouldn't say it's bogus, but it definitely has substance to it because
It
the
does.
Grizzlies are in a situation where they can blow it up.
Right.
Oh, of
Because
course.
they're a very bad good team.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'll address it.
Yeah.
They're the worst, best team.
Yeah.
All right.
Because they're top three and they're second seed in the West. right
Crazy.
now.
They're the worst second
Yeah.
seed.
But like,
Yeah.
we don't.
They
No,
should.
no one's taking them seriously
Yeah.
because they've been a second seed twice already and lost both times. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is. Do we have any final thoughts regarding the Ja Morant dude?
No. Let's get into Gio's face.
Yes.
Gio's face.
What?
Face
Bro,
of the
you-
face of the league.
That's the most paused thing he's
God.
ever said.
My eyes.
Can we just like
That's
quote
wild.
that? And it's like
Yeah, can we just redact that?
it's insane. Can we clip that one chat?
Yeah, can we clip that?
There is no chat.
We're not on Twitch.
We're not live.
Yeah, we're about to have a
Comments.
chat. Just wait.
But
We could. Yeah.
do you want to talk about this, or do you want me to?
no, you can intro this.
I have some
So-
things. I think I know what he's talking about.
So obviously we're in a very weird position in the NBA right now, where LeBron, Steph, Kevin Durant are all at the end of their careers. It's pretty much likely that they're all done before the decade turns. The question is, who's going to replace them as the face of the league? And there's a lot of options. There's so many young stars, from Wemby to Luka to Tatum to whoever. There's so many different guys. And Gio showed me, I think a week ago, some comments made by Stephen A. Smith and ESPN regarding the face of the league. And we're going to let Gio get into that right now.
I have the quote. If you don't know,
And
what the
I
quote
can,
is.
yeah,
I don't have the direct quote.
you can paraphrase. I don't really
have
care
it.
because I'll put it
You
on
wanna say it?
I'll put it on the screen regardless.
Anthony will say it for us.
So Stephen A. said on First Take, that I know they're global figures. Their popularity extends globally, meaning the global NBA players.
Yeah.
But the NBA is an American-born sport, and it needs to resonate in America. And if it doesn't resonate in America, then it's not going to matter to America how you resonate beyond.
Wow.
That's wild.
Wow.
Stephen A. has a glorified kind of speaking tone, and I could see him saying this.
Can you like mimic how he talks when you say that quote,
no,
please?
No.
What was the quote? He was like,
What?
what was the quote he said? He was like, he needs to resonate with Americans.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
He talks with emphasis.
Exactly. Oh, and he said, I don't believe an international player can be the face of the NBA.
He's like, I don't see it. I don't see it.
That's how he said it?
Yeah.
That's basically how he talks.
That is so funny.
But Stephen A. has a bias with this. So
What is his bias?
Yeah. Xenophobia.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
You would call Stephen A. as xenophobia?
I would call
Xenophobic?
ESPN xenophobic.
Interesting.
It is egregiously nasty.
Interesting.
Absolutely nasty work. And this, no surprise. We saw Stephen A. last year get canceled for saying that Ohtani couldn't be the face of the MLB because he couldn't speak English. He needed a translator.
Oh my god, that was one of the worst moments.
So we're back to square one, I guess. Like,
Ohtani is
Well, I wouldn't call that xenophobic. I mean, I think there's a basis for why he's saying that, and I don't think it's xenophobia. I think he's saying that because American viewers are going to be more engaged in the sport if the best player can speak the language of American viewers.
Can I give you a prime example?
Absolutely.
Lionel Messi is the face of the MLS, and bro does not know a lick of English.
That's different, though.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
a completely different thing. 'Cause
Shohei-
he's a legend,
But
bro.
Bro, in 20 years, Shohei Ohtani could be like the best ever.
Right.
So it's plausible to put the two.
But
of them
soccer's a completely different sport. MLB is an American baseball. The MLB is an American sport. Soccer is an international sport. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
a completely different
Baseball's
playing
international.
field.
Baseball
is
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. Baseball is absolutely international, but it's the MLB. That's the league.
The reason-
when it comes to soccer, the MLS is not the league. And so if you get a
Right.
player that played in other leagues that were the league
Yeah.
into your league, and he's the best player in those leagues, it's completely
Yeah,
different.
I don't
story.
think they have a problem with that. Messi being
Right. Well, he's Messi, yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason Messi's like one of the greatest athletes ever.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the reason why I say that Stephen A. is xenophobic is we have a sample size. We have a beautiful pattern of the last 5 years of Stephen A. being xenophobic towards Nikola Jokic.
I knew you were gonna say
He's
that.
never voted for him once.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Because basically the way Stephen A. does it
That's kind of
is it's always like, did you not see last year? We even saw Nick Young do this on Gil's Arena where he's like, why are we just talking about Jokic, like Jokic this, Jokic that? Who do you think was the one person he was propping up for MVP?
Embiid.
Jason Tatum.
Oh, Tatum.
Stephen A. Smith last year. Who is he propping up for the entirety before he switched up to SGA last minute?
Tatum.
Jason Tatum. So he goes for the Americans first.
Yes.
And then if there's no Americans in the picture, it becomes a race bait. And that's exactly what he does.
Well, this is interesting because before I say my point, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Correlation doesn't always equal causation. Okay. So now, with that disclaimer in mind, here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The NBA and its viewership has dropped significantly ever since players like Jokic, players like Luka, players like SGA have become the face of the league.
Right.
These are international players.
Yeah.
Ever since then, the NBA views have dropped pretty significantly.
Right.
So, but when you have an American player, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, even right, if you have these top tier American players that are the face of the league,
Yeah.
the NBA's viewership is outstanding.
I've a perfect counterpoint to this.
Go for it.
What's in common with those guys? They
And
play
with which guys?
with LeBron, Steph, Michael Jordan. What do they all have in common?
Tell me.
They play in big markets.
Okay.
We are in. This is my biggest issue with the NBA. What is the point of these small market teams existing? Like, that's the NBA's fault. Nikola Jokic is going to retire as one of the greatest players of all time. Victor Wembanyama could be the greatest player of all time. We don't know. They play in Denver, Colorado, and San Antonio, Texas. They don't market those teams well at all. They don't. SGA is having one of the best statistical seasons from a guard. He plays in Oklahoma City. They don't care what's going on in Oklahoma.
Well, I disagree with that because when Russell Westbrook and KD were in Oklahoma, the league cared about what was going on in Oklahoma
because they're Americans.
Exactly my point.
That's the problem, and that's where there's a divide between the media and the public.
No, I disagree. Maybe there's something to what I'm not saying be xenophobic. That's absolutely not what I'm saying.
Right? No, I'm not talking about that, but ESPN doesn't want to market international players,
Which is interesting.
and that to me that's a problem in itself because 4 out of the 5 best players in the league right now are international, and none of them play in big markets. Jokic plays.
Luka does now.
Well, Luka does now, but Luka kind of did in Dallas, but outside of a sheer miracle, Luka's in Dallas now. But Giannis plays in Wisconsin, Jokic plays in Colorado, and SGA plays in Oklahoma.
Yep.
And even looking outside of that, some of the other good international player like
Wemby plays in San Antonio.
Wemby plays in San Antonio.
Yep.
Who are some other good examples that I'm trying to think of off the top of my head that I can't right now?
Players,
Like even looking at some of the up and coming guys, like Paulo and Franz, even though Paulo's American, they play in Orlando. Like they're not really getting the spotlight put on them.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a problem. It's all about New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and Chicago. But Chicago's not good anymore, so you kind of default that to just San Francisco with the Warriors. So that's where it's at.
That's an interesting point because you said ESPN is not marketing
the NBA
international players.
The NBA is not either. The ESPN is just
Why
not
is
giving them the
this?
coverage because they don't. They again, Stephen A. Smith believes that the international players don't resonate with Americans when that's false. Like I resonate with a lot of the international players. Because they're the guys that are always coming up from nothing and getting counted out and everything like
So
that.
do you think it's a Stephen A. driven thing,
I don't think it's just Stephen A.
or is it ESPN and Stephen A. just a part of it, or is it the NBA at large?
It's media. It's all media.
Yeah.
I'm talking ESPN. I'm talking Fox Sports. I'm talking Gilbert Arenas. I'm talking really just any former player too. A lot of these guys, like outside of, there's been very few. Like Kevin Garnett loves the international players.
Okay.
Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem love the international players. So it really just depends. But they don't market well at all, regardless of whether it's international or small market teams. Like the ESPN coverage of Game 7 for the Knicks and Pacers was disgusting. Like it was like watching MSG. And it was the same thing when the Nuggets played the Lakers in the playoffs 2 years ago in the conference finals. Like they barely talked about the Nuggets at all.
Yeah.
When Nikola Jokic was averaging a 35-point triple-double.
Yeah.
Like why do we not talk about that?
Wow.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'll get to the other end of the problem, is that because they prop up so many American stars, this is why a guy like Jason Tatum is so overhated. Because he's put on this ridiculous pedestal. But Jason Tatum is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll retire like a top 40, top 30 player of all time. But everyone, like there was a Twitter post filling in a box of like good player loved by fans, bad player loved by fans. He went in average player divided by fans. Wow. Jason Tatum is not an average player.
Yeah.
And the xenophobia in NBA media affects the American players in a negative way.
Yeah.
And that's something we're not really taking into account as much.
Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive to what the NBA stands for, though, because the NBA is supposed to be known as this international basketball league where they're trying to expand to international countries, right? This is what they're trying to do. But at the same time, they're not matching what they're preaching. They're not doing what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's so weird.
And we saw the switch up in 2019. Everyone wanted the Warriors to lose. And when they realized who they lost to, everyone got pissed because it wasn't an American team.
Yeah. I don't know what's up. I really want to get to the bottom of this. Like, what's going on? Why is it like this? Why are they not marketing international players in the most effective way? What's up with that? I really want to get to the bottom of this.
We have to ask ESPN.
Well, it's not. You have to ask Adam Silver.
Adam Silver.
Yeah.
You have to ask Adam Silver. But
is this something that's intentional, or
They
is it
won't
something that's
ask
not?
him that though.
they're clinging on to LeBron, KD, and Steph for dear life. Like they are white knuckling it. Like they have such a death grip on the three of them.
So you don't think it's intentional? They're not intentionally not marketing international players.
They are intentionally not marketing them.
Yeah.
But when those three
But the
guys,
motive is because, or the reason is because they're hanging on to these
I think it's both.
Former player.
both.
Okay, it's both.
Yeah, because I mean, like even the American stars on small market teams aren't getting the love they deserve. So it's like it's hard to gauge. Like when they talk about a guy like Cade Cunningham, or they talk about a guy like Trae Young, or they talk about a guy like not Alperen Şengün. What's his face?
What team?
I'm blanking right now. Hold on, it's coming back to me. I forgot who it was, but it doesn't really matter. It's not important right now. Or Anthony Edwards, that was who it was. When they talk about those guys, they don't talk about them. They talk about getting them to a big market. And that's what they do. They were talking on NBA Counted, they were talking about Giannis going to New York. Like, what are we doing? Like, who cares? Like, Giannis is the best buck of all time. Like,
Well, maybe what they're doing is that's good for marketing. If you get this international player to play for a big market, that's good for the NBA.
they want that, but like if you're the Bucks, you're like, well, fuck me, I guess. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of us winning a championship if everyone's just gonna bash it?
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the ESPN is pro LA and pro New York media because of their players. I mean, not players.
It's always going to be like
talent. Stephen A. is the big culprit in that.
But it's not even just New York and LA, because we saw when the Nets and Clippers had contending teams, they barely were talked about.
Right.
It's all about the Knicks and the Lakers.
Yeah, it's just those teams.
And if you notice too, like the NBA, the ESPN's based on either end of the country. They're in LA, they're in New York, and they're in Bristol, Connecticut.
Yep.
And everyone that works for them also works for the Lakers and the Knicks.
Well, there you go.
So we literally saw on, I think, in Game 7 and on Get Up the next morning, they had Alan Hahn, they had Monica McNutt, they had Mike Breen on the call. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's why it was karma. It was good karma that Indiana won that game. Yeah. But it's crazy. Like, I don't want to watch that. Like, that's not entertaining to me.
Yeah.
It's ESPN's the same thing with their football teams. You know, Greeny's a Jets fan on Get Up. Like, you know,
the Jets suck. So.
Well, but the New York football teams are a big talking point for ESPN. LA's kind of like a little bit.
It got so bad that Rob Manfred canceled their deal with ESPN because they weren't talking about baseball.
Yes, they just did that.
That's crazy work.
They just dropped Sunday Night Baseball starting next year.
That may have been the first ever Manfred W. I'm not even gonna lie.
Wait, they still have it this year, right?
Yeah, this is the last year.
Yeah, because Sunday Night Baseball is just brutal.
They don't care.
Brutal.
The only time they talked about baseball was the 1 week of the World Series where Stephen A. just admitted he did not know ball. So.
Wait, so there's one more thing I want to talk about, though, when it comes to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Because he was asked a question.
Yes. He doesn't want to be the face of the league.
Right. Do we have like a direct quote from that? Or
he said he doesn't want to be the face of the league.
He said he doesn't want to be the face of the league. That's what they got Wemby for.
That's interesting. What do you think about this quote?
I think that's spot on from him.
Let's normalize players not wanting the spotlight.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think Ant wants that.
Let's normalize.
I thought Ant would be the type of guy to want that.
No. He doesn't want that.
I thought that was his personality.
Ant just likes to talk shit.
He seems like a bubbly guy. He seems like a good dude. Personality's like outstanding. I feel like he's hilarious.
Doesn't it remind you of someone in Denver that doesn't want the spotlight?
Jokic.
He's different than Jokic, though. Jokic is more of like a shy to himself. Edwards is out and open with everybody.
Right, but I mean, Jokic is also kind of got that bubbly personality.
Jokic is hilarious. Don't get me wrong. But Edwards is like a different type of personality. I thought he would want to be like that. But I don't know what. Maybe this is like some psychology that Edwards is trying to play with.
I don't know.
The media.
No.
I don't
to where he's trying to act like he, you know, like I don't know what that's about.
I think all three of us know that Wemby is going to be the face of the league.
Yeah,
that's set in stone.
Well, I think right now, I would probably give it to either Jokic or Tatum.
Yeah.
But you know, in a decade, it's going to be Wemby. I don't really see it. It could be Wemby and Cooper Flag. They're going to be the two.
That's it.
And maybe AJ DeBansta if he pans out.
Yeah.
The way we think he's going to. He's going to be a good player regardless.
Yeah.
But I think we need to normalize players not wanting the spotlight. I think that's totally okay. You know? I love the fact I love the reputation Kawhi Leonard has. I love the PR that he has where he doesn't need to be in the spotlight, but we all know he's cold. Yeah. Like, he's going to retire as, you know, one of the best players, one of the best defenders ever.
Of course.
Yeah.
He didn't want the spotlight. He doesn't need it.
That's fair, but the thing is, Kawhi didn't have that type of personality. Right. What I'm saying is Edwards does, And for him to say that he doesn't want to be the face of the NBA, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I thought Anthony Edwards was a super competitor. That's what I got. I got that vibe from him. Super competitor. He locks in. He has that personality. What's stopping him from being like he has the game? He can jump out of the gym, right? What's stopping him from being the face of the NBA? I think it's him. He's stopping himself from being the face of the NBA because he's limiting himself. That's what I think.
Okay.
And I think it's unfortunate. I want competition to return. It's just like he kind of just caved in and gave it to Victor. No, I want him to fight for that. And that's why I think the NBA is drowning because players are caving in. They're like, okay, you can have it. I'm not going to fight for it. I want to see some fight from these NBA players, and I'm not seeing it.
And is still going to fight. He's going to fight in basketball.
I hope. That's what I hope.
He doesn't care about face of the league. He's going to fight in basketball.
That's what I hope.
In ball.
And I hope so.
Who the face is. The NBA has more than one face. And I know that's kind of corny.
But there's always the face, though.
Oh, of course.
Face. Like right now, it's LeBron.
It's still LeBron.
It might be Luka. Luka might be the next face.
Yeah,
of the league.
exactly.
He's in LA now.
Yeah.
We will see.
Thanks to Nico
We don't
dumbass
know.
Harrison. But can I give one shot in the dark
Go.
Sure.
face of the league that I think would be amazing for the NBA? And he resides in the state of Michigan.
Jordan Poole.
He's
I don't know why I said that.
No, it's easy. It's Cade Cunningham.
Okay.
I think Cade Cunningham would be the perfect face of the NBA.
That's insane. I think that's pretty far out there.
Is it though?
No, he can get
Tell me
it.
why it's not.
He can get it soon.
So Detroit obviously won 14 games of basketball last year. They're a 6th seed right now. Let's say best case scenario possible, they get to the second round. Say they beat the Knicks and they lose in 6 games to who would they play? Boston, because the Knicks are a 3 seed. So yeah, let's say they lose in 6 to Boston. It's like a hard fought series. And then the Pistons get a good free agent in the offseason and they make it the conference finals next year and Cade just goes off in the entire series. And let's say the Pistons eventually win a championship or 2. Is it out of the picture that Cade could be the face of the league?
No.
Because remember, like you told me that the NBA thrives when Detroit is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So imagine if Detroit wins multiple championships. Cade Cunningham
Interesting.
could very
take.
well be.
Yeah, I don't see.
Yeah, but that's like a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of what ifs.
Right, it is.
Detroit
Yeah.
winning a championship, that's pretty far.
There's a lot of what ifs with Minnesota with Anthony Edwards.
true.
Exactly.
So, and we've seen Cade Cunningham talks his shit there in the game.
Yeah.
He's got that fire in
does.
his belly.
He does.
So
I like that from him.
I would love to see Detroit and Cade on top, bro.
Yeah. You know what?
Love to
I
see
think
that.
I would have to second that, bro.
Yeah.
So
All right.
so yeah, that was some good little
That was
face of
nice.
the league. That was our first shower thoughts in a while.
That was
Yeah.
So we'll have another thing for the playlist. So do we have any final thoughts regarding the face of the league or anything like that?
No.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of episode number 46 of the Floor Spacer podcast. Gio, for the final time at age 23, what did the people comment at home? They're still with the flow.
Kobe year.
Yo, say happy birthday. Say
Yeah.
happy birthday to me.
Say happy birthday, Gio, in the comments.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Come
so
on, it's only right.
pretty simple. Yeah, it's all you really needed to do. But yeah, as far as the rest goes, we'll probably have some more all NBA teams content in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. Should be a lot of fun. And we have a good episode planned for episode 50 in just a few weeks' time. So it'll be about a month from now.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. 1 year of pods, though, won't be for another month and a half. That'll be in April because we started the pod a month after shorts. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 5K. Hit the bell, that way you're notified every upload, which is every day. If you're on Spotify audio platforms, give us 5 stars, answer the polls, all that good stuff. Follow us on our socials at Floor Spacer Pod on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. Follow our personal ones, which you can see down the bottom of the screen. Get Gio to 1 million Instagram followers. And guys, do we have any final thoughts, comments, questions, concerns for the viewers before we head on out for the week?
Let's go.
I'm fighting back my sleep, so let's go to sleep.
Let's go to sleep indeed. We hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. Happy birthday, Gio.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next week in episode 47. Peace.